order out of chaos equals 222 in gematria. Yeah, so there's so much going on I could talk about, but yeah, the floods is definitely my main topic for this show.
Well, the water, with that being connected to finance, Rambo brought up something that was a really dope connection on water. And what was it? I was listening to it last night because I always connected loan sharks, right? They're sharks like in the water, or whales with a big one. But you connected something to the water. It's slipping my mind right now, but I was like, that's nuts.
Was it financial related or?
Yes. Yeah, it was, but it was sort of mixed into just like terms we use today that I didn't even notice that was what. Oh yeah, pool, a liquidity pool. That was crazy.
Oh yeah, liquidity. Yeah. Oh, you pool your resources. Yeah, when you put your resources, if you have a venture between multiple parties and they all invest, you're pooling your resources. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick. I didn't even connect that, so that was great. I guess let's get into the floods. The floods, I've been telling my audience there's going to be a deluge that happen, but of AI. And I wonder if there's a connection to AI and water. I haven't seen really anything just yet, but we're going to get a flood of AI. According to this Time Magazine article, where you scan your iris code and you get a 1 to 8,000 digit digital ID so you can access the internet, because we're not going to know the reality through fiction of the internet in the next 6 months. That's what this article was saying. And then this deluge happened. But I think they were using those words, like you said, about the reset and gematria equals like connected to water. And something I saw someone share, I don't know who shared it, but a couple days ago was Koi Fish Day, National Koi Fish Day on 7/7. And in gematria, it equals 7/7. Look at that. That's crazy. Like, so here's National Koi Fish Day is on 7/7, and koi fish in gematria is 7/7. That's wild.
Yeah, and Donut, the to connect this with the internet and the AI possibly is that that another actor that died recently was he played the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four. I think his name was something McMahon. I can't remember his first name, but he played the Silver Surfer, like surfing the web, and he also played in other surfing movies. This guy was super connected to surfing, and this happened, I think, just a day or so before this flood started. So I think it's interesting to hear you say that, because it's like when you said the deluge of the AI, it makes complete sense.
Silver Surfer, he's the best. And
yeah, he is
by the way, Donut has a song about koi fish, a rap song.
Yeah.
Kois.
I made that 10 years ago before I got sober.
It's still tight.
Which is obvious. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was before its time, for sure, ahead of its time. So let's get into the floods. I'm not sure who wants to start. I see AJ has got his screen pulled up. But we're gonna dive into the flood. Something I didn't really look at much, but AJ is in Texas, so maybe that's what I think probably where we should start with it. Unless anyone got any more to add on to what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Donut. I just want to echo a thank you to you as well for having us on today. It's a huge honor and a pleasure to not only be on with you, but all these other beautiful minds, especially Tommy and Rambo. You two are one of the OGs that I came across, and I never looked back as well. So just very thankful for all of you guys and what you guys bring to the table in this quest for truth. I thought I would just open really quick before Kodie gets into his presentation. We were just talking about two numbers, right? July 17th and 201. Well, in the world of gematria, what are the odds that weather control equal 177 forwards and 201 in reverse? I think that's a great way to kick it off. But what Kodie has prepared is absolutely incredible. And he did a whole video on his own channel. Make sure to check it out. And we did kind of a follow up yesterday with the three of us on our weekly show as well. And Dona, it blew my mind that the first number that you even pointed out was 102, the reverse of 201. And obviously, the big story in the news this past week is, about the floods that have been out here. It has been crazy. But obviously, most of the attention has been related to, the tragedy over at Camp Mystic. Well, I was doing some more research and saw that apparently there were 557 campers that were there, which just so happens to be the 102nd prime. And once again, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. Mystical equals 102, that reflection of the 201. So I thought I would just kind of kick it off there. And then, Kodie, as you kind of dive into it, I may or may not chime in with a couple additions. I know you and I shared some ideas back and forth. Hello, Donna. Good to see you. But yeah, I got a couple other tidbits to add in, because what Kodie brought to the table, especially at the very end of last night's stream, my jaw hit the floor. And so I'm excited to get into it.
Nice.
So yeah, I would say, Kodie,
Okay.
kick us off. Kick us off, my man.
All right. Thanks again, and thanks to you, AJ, for all of your work and getting all this connected. I really appreciate. AJ is one of my best buds and just an amazing decoder. So thank you, AJ, for getting this set up. And I'm excited. I have my screen shared, Donut, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Let's bring that up.
What's your YouTube, Kodie? I was trying to put it in the decoding with Kodie.
Yeah, it's what I have on from my handle here. It's spelled exactly like that, with the K, the two Ks, and the I at the end. So
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna subscribe to you, bro.
I got everybody's links down below. Make sure to go subscribe to everybody. I got everybody's links down below.
Yeah.
And just to make sure, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
I went to full screen, so hopefully it's easy enough to see.
Oh, I guess I am subscribed to Kodie. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So just for introduction, on our channels, me, Rambo, and AJ, and I know Tommy and Dona often uses gematria as well. My channel tends to be gematria focused, but in this decode, we're going to use just giving a quick intro here. I'm going to use the 4 base ciphers of gematria, just the English forward, which is just A is 1, B is 2, up to Z is 26. And then that's also the reduction cipher, where you reduce every double digit down to a single digit. So for instance, J is the 10th letter, 1 plus 0 is 1, so J has a value of 1. And then you just do the same thing for the reverse ciphers, because everything's reversed and flipped in this reality. So in the reverse ciphers, you just do the same, but you do it in reverse. So Z is the first. And just to kick it off, it seemed like the way this riddle played out, it was also connected to gematria, the riddle itself. And you'll notice that I posted here, gematria is a central tool in Jewish mysticism or Kabbalah. So mystic is in the word of mysticism, and this is a big part of this whole event. It was Camp Mystic, which was a summer camp. So check out the gematria of these 3 words here. First of all,
wow, they all perfectly aligned together.
Yeah, that's really rare. You don't, so that's like hitting hard in that cipher.
Yeah, this is what we call a super match, is what or there's other phrases for it, but this is what we call a dead-on super match in gematria, where you have all 4 of the base ciphers. And so what are the chances that summer camp is a direct match to Camp Mystic? So that means that the word summer is also a direct match to mystic, because camp is, of course, the same gematria. So summer and mystic also equal the same in gematria. So this happens in summer, Camp Mystic. And this is happening just north of San Antonio. And as I'll get into, San Antonio is a big part of this. So yeah, that's a huge part of it. And but the big number here is the 74. This is a huge number in gematria, and the reason that is because this happened on July 4th, right? Which in the United States is a holiday, which is Independence Day. And there's a kind of a reason, I think, why they gave us this day. And I think it's all about the numerology, because holiday sums to 74. And this is our national holiday where we celebrate Independence Day, which also equals 74. And notice over here on the left, in the basic ordinal gematria, which is A is 1, B is 2, all to Z is 26, Jesus has that 74. Like this happened in Central Texas, which equals Jesus Christ. So notice how Jesus Christ has the 74, like Central Texas. This is in the same cipher. But in the base cipher, Jesus equals Jewish equals cross equals Messiah equals gematria equals occult and equals gospel. So all these words are associated with Jesus. And
Oh,
so the gospel or the occult also, we talk about that here. And the occult means hidden. And mystic also means secret. The word mystic comes from mystikos, I believe, which is Greek for secret. So occult and mystic are actually very related. They're about secrets and hidden things. So the camp mystic even connects to the occult and the hidden. But what I found, which really brings this all together, before I even really get deeper into the numbers, was, and big shout out to one of my subscribers for bringing this to me. There was a movie that came out in 1993, which was about a similar event on July 17th, 1987. How about that? We were just talking about July 17th. And
right,
there was another flood of this river where 43 people were perished. And it was on the same river, the Guadalupe River. And they made a movie about this in 1993. And you guys can see the title here.
right.
Um,
That
and
was like the big thing with like the save. I don't even want to say the word, but save the the little ones. I think that's a good one.
right.
But that was
Yeah.
like a big part of the that movement. Yeah. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And that also connects to that, I'm sure. And it's just crazy that in 1993 they released this, and then they gave it this title out of all titles. Um, and again, this wasn't as big of an event, but it wasn't as not as many people perished, but it's still the same river. And notice the helicopter connection. We're going to talk a little bit about helicopters, um, but there's also a helicopter on the front of the movie. So, but what I really wanted to get into was, and just out of respect for the people, I blocked this out. But I wanted to really point out the picture they put out in the media of some of these people with the Jesus holding, something holding. You guys can see it back there, and
Some
look at
little ones.
the little one, yeah. And notice Jesus said in the scriptures many times, "Be like the little ones," right?
Oh,
And
where?
so notice, as I told you before, this all happened on July 4th, which is all about the 74. Well, the teleplay director of this movie was David J. Kinghorn. What a name. Because I believe this is kind of symbolic of David, who is the lineage of Jesus is King David. So notice it has King David in the name, and it has the J. And anytime I see a J, like Donald J, it's a reference to Jesus, I think. And so you got David J. Kinghorn, which equals 74, like Independence Day. This is the guy who directed this movie in 1993. So,
And Cody, you know that series that David just finished up on Amazon Prime. Did you see that series?
no, I didn't.
It's
What was
about
that?
King David. It was like a trending series where he fights Goliath, and it's a new series that came out. So that just finished up. There's a big 40 connection with all that. 40 is another number tied
What
to
was that
Jesus.
called, Tommy? What was the name of that? I wanted to jot that
Uh,
down.
the House of David, I believe, sir.
Okay. Thanks,
Also,
brother.
like 7/4, that was the date chosen for July 4th, even though it wasn't even the correct date, 7/2.
Right.
And then you had all these different founding fathers pass away on that date too, the 7/4 date. So,
Yep.
wow.
And the word killing, the word killing in gematria in the same cipher also sums to 74.
Yeah,
So
that's a big one. It's the mirror reflection of 47, like the 47-degree Masonic compass. But I can't get over that event, Kodie, happened on July 17th of 1987. Now, 1987 was the year that HARP was patented. Remember? It was
oh
patented
wow, yeah.
8/11 of 1987. And before you guys, we went live, we were just, well, in the beginning of this live, that was the date I said I believe something's going to happen July 17th due to Mercury retrograde and the connection there. So, yeah, that's interesting that was. I bet you there's a connection there, though, between them dates, July
Yeah,
17th
there's
and
something
HARP.
up with that. Yeah, the July 17th, but also a big day coming up is 713 when the new show coming out, shout out to Ani Osaru, pointed out the Institute film is coming out on this date. Now that's when
No
the
way.
that's when the Trump attempt happened on 713, which is just a huge number. But I'm still looking out. I think the full moon energy. There's this pattern recognition of someone famous passing away. Remember the Matt Perry one? That was like a huge one. I think we're gonna have something similar to that.
What,
Uh,
the Institute, are you talking about Stephen King's novel, The Institute?
yeah, yeah. So
Oh, my God.
so they're
That's
making a
amazing.
film. Yeah, I'll pull up a slide of it.
Do you want your screen back, Donut, for a minute?
No, no, you're good. You're good. I'll just show this just because it's interesting. 1 second. The Institute, and shout out to Ani again. You pointed out that you got the eyeball, the CBS looking eyeball right there. Then right here, you even have the what we just figured out thanks to Rambo that this is connected to Saturn as well, the chessboard.
No,
And
to Mercury.
Mercury. Thank you.
Yeah, 8 by 8.
And he's doing the okay hand sign too. So there's definitely is going to be a crazy show. And here's another here's the thumb to it. You got the chessboard as well, sort of underneath there as well. That show's going to be sick.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that show, it's kind of a spin off of what they were doing with the Montauk Project. I just got done reading The Institute. Remember, I told you, Donut, that was that book I read. It took me forever to read it because I only read it a couple chapters in the morning. But that's where the government snatched the little ones with special abilities and kind of used them as like weapons, right? And it was this place called the Institute. Children, kind of like Stranger Things, how we had 11 in Stranger Things, and that was originally going to be called Montauk. It's all based on the Montauk Project. But yeah, I'm excited to see that.
And this episode's called "Strange Things Are
Oh,
Happening Worldwide," just like Stranger Things, and we're about to crush through 1,000 people. So please smash that like button, share this video out, go subscribe to everybody's YouTube and Rambo's Patreon and all that. All them links is down below. But Kodie, Tommy, you got anything else before we continue?
no, no, no. Go ahead,
I
buddy.
can't. That's dope that you read it. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a great book, though. Check it out. Very long.
So Kodie, please continue.
Yeah, thank you. And just to mention what Tommy was talking about, that Montauk project, I've done some looking into that. That's actually somewhat connected to Sirius, and we might talk a bit about Sirius and these floods here in a bit. Um, but yeah, just to get back into this real fast, I forgot to mention that the beginning of this movie, and thanks to AJ for finding this on YouTube and pointing it out to me. I didn't watch the whole thing, but he did, I believe. And at the very beginning of the movie, what do you see? This is like the first scene. It's the church with the cross. And in my slide prior to that, I'd mentioned how cross equals 74, like Jesus, like Messiah, like gospel. Parables also equals 74. Jesus spoke in parables. So yeah, first thing you see is a church with a cross, and then they go to another church where the camp's at. And they're singing about how Jesus saves them. So the whole thing was initially all about the religious Jesus narrative. But I really wanted to get into the etymology of the name Kerr because a lot of these floods happened in Kerr County. That's where the majority of the news was coming out of. And I found it interesting that the name Kerr is English or Scottish surname, typically meaning somebody who lives by a marsh or brushwood or a wet ground. And a lot of people don't know, but JD Vance, who's very connected to this, his name means marsh. And Trump just had he just opened up that, or they just went to Florida and opened up that prison in the marshland, right? And so there's the word marsh is something to really watch for, because I feel
Oh,
it's a very,
gotta look
very
up
strong
Eminem.
word.
Marshall Mathers, maybe.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Marshall Mathers. Yeah. And the word mar means sea. So that's also connected to water. And then there's Mars. And I might talk a bit about
And
Mars if I get a chance. Go
Mathers
ahead.
has the word math in it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So just think about that. Mathers.
In the whole flooding thing, Kodie, that you was talking about when me and Rambo was talking about Sirius earlier, that's what that's all tied to. In 811, when they patent HARP on 811, which is the 223rd day of the year, right? And then high active auroral research, um, what is it called, program or project? What they call HARP, the High Auroral Research Project, I believe, or program. I can't remember which one they call it, but that equals 223. It was patent on the 223rd day of the year, 811, which is during the ritual to Sirius where the Nile River would flood. It was a major ritual to Isis,
The
right?
helical rising of Sirius.
Yeah. Here, the dog star.
Yeah, that's a great addition, man. I have a whole slide, a couple slides about the 223. So that's gonna, once I get to that, we'll make sure we bring that up again, because it's gonna fit perfectly into what I already have here.
Okay, brother.
The 223 and 322 is a huge part of this, and I found some pretty crazy stuff connecting to it. I didn't know that equaled 223 though, so that's a great addition.
Yeah. I think it's in reduction off the top of my head.
Yeah, and so just think about how they turned, it looks kind of like a marsh now. I mean, when something floods, it looks a lot like a marsh. So again, keep your eye on JD Vance. I think he's going to play into a lot of the stuff that's still going to play out in the future. But yeah, so this is like the meat of my presentation. There's a basketball player. So this all happened in Kerr County, which is north of San Antonio. And there's a basketball player, Stephen Douglas Kerr. Okay. And he played his last game, and he retired as a champion with the San Antonio Spurs in 2003, so many years ago. And again, his last name is Kerr. He wore the number 25, like we're in the year 25. Well, what's the chances? What's the chance? I'll go to this slide first. What's the chances that the name Kerr, like his last name, his number that he wore, equals flood? And it has that 25, and it has the 52, which is the mirror of the 25. So flood equals Kerr.
And
Hey,
Kodie, really quick. I'm sorry, Tommy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say on that 25 connection that the reason they released that that new Final Destination movie Bloodlines, it was the 25-year anniversary, so that's why they released Bloodlines, and that's a number tied to death. The number 25, like you said. So yeah, that go ahead, Ball. So my apologies, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. This is one of those examples, Kodie, if you don't mind. Doenut, would you mind just sharing my screen really quick? So
Sure.
I took the time last night, because Kodie, Rambo, and I had our stream, and then Kodie at the very end mentions this movie, and I nearly fell out of my chair, so I had to watch it. And this is a quick scene from the movie when one of the mothers is being notified about what's happening at the camp, and she's out shopping before someone.
Right here. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
yeah, so I kind of blocked maybe a little bit of it, just showing Steve Curry. Where's number 25? Right, we're in the year 25. Kerr
And
flood equals 25.
this guy. Please excuse me for my ignorance, but this is the Steph Curry McFlurry, like the Riff Raff song.
Yeah, he is the head coach currently of the Golden State Warriors. So Steve Kerr coaches Stephen Curry.
Yeah, you guys, there's a major connection to San Francisco too. He had that 122 up, which is the longitude and latitude of San Francisco, and then this guy's the coach of Golden State, right? And me and Donut have been talking for years how the next 9/11 type event is going to be in that area. Shout out to the Golden Gate Bridge. That's all I'm gonna say. Now,
Yeah, no, it blew my mind because Kodie brought this movie to my attention because of one of his followers, and then as I'm watching it, where Kodie's all about that 25 and Kerr, sure enough, as the parents are being notified about the little ones, as they pan over in this scene, they show two big 25s in it, don't they?
wow.
And this is a movie from 1993 we're talking about. So, anyways, yeah, back to Kodie. I just want to
Well,
throw that in there.
also like these films, the best way to like connect this, like watch the X Files show that came out after the X Files about it was like a runoff of X Files, but they showed you exactly what was going to happen a month before 9/11 happened. So like these movies, there's something to it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, these cinemagicians are casting spells on the masses, not just in the movies, in the media. You know what I'm saying? There's codes all throughout it. Now, what most people don't know in gematria, and what most people don't talk about, is there's an organic source code to this whole reality. I could decode Balll, I could decode Rambo, I could decode Doenut. All of us are going to have a source code connected to us. But what I believe is that these so-called elites, these deletes, that's what we should call them, they know how to kind of hack the matrix, right? And that's why they do these events on certain days, under certain astrological alignments, certain numerology. That's my theory because after I found out there was an organic source code, at one time I just thought, oh, somebody's behind the scenes doing all this and making everything add up to this, but there's actually an organic source code to it, and you can check it with your own name, where you was born, what city you was born in, and that's what I believe. Have you guys came across decoding? Because I know you've been decoding for a long time. Have you came across the organic source code?
I
Me
certainly have,
personally,
absolutely.
yeah, me personally, even today I found something with my family that absolutely blew my mind.
It's awesome.
All the time I look into to my organic code with my family members, and man, it's if you look into the numbers, you really see something bigger is at play here. So I definitely agree with you, Tommy. That's a great point to bring up.
Yeah,
Um,
I think they know how to manipulate it. You know what I'm saying, Cody? I think they know how to shift the energy with it, and that's
mhm.
just completely my theory on it. Because at one time I even thought like maybe AI was doing it all, but I think they do them events, they make the numbers line up, and it's a part of some type of Masonic number magic that they're doing. That's just my theory on it.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a lot to do with some sort of manifestation magic or
Right,
something like
right.
that.
Yeah, something like that. 100%.
Yeah, I do have my. If I put my name, my last name, I get my birthday in the Elizabethan ciphers, which we already talked about that much. But the Elizabethan ciphers are Francis Bacon ciphers,
Yes,
which are extremely a key part of the matrix. So you consider how important Francis Bacon is,
very
just to,
important.
to Freemasonry and to the English language. His ciphers, and Manly P. Hall teaches the Francis Bacon ciphers
Yep,
in the what is it, the Secret Teaching of All Ages.
yep.
Yeah, well, yeah. So my birthday does come up when I put my name in the Elizabethan ciphers.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Another cipher that people sleep on, Rambo, is the Chaldean cipher, and it's based on 1 through 8. It goes all the way back to the Akkadians. You know, not too many people. That's one of our oldest ciphers, and like not a lot of people know about it. So I think we should teach more on that one. That one and Francis Bacon is so important, man.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, Chaldean also has some numerology that goes along with it. So,
Yeah,
so it's Chaldean, it's gematria, but it's also Chaldean numerology. It's pretty complex when you
yeah,
look
it's
at the
deep.
whole, yeah, the whole Chaldean system. And they even take into account the shapes of letters. You know, the shape of the S, the shape of it's pretty. The Chaldean is pretty. It's more than just the gematria. It's pretty complex.
Yeah, I love it. It's one
I
of my
was gonna I was gonna mention Chaldean right when you said that, man. You're on the same wavelength with me tonight. Everything I'm getting ready to say, like you're always like I'm talking about Tommy. You know, you're always saying it right before I was gonna say it. So yeah, I use Chaldean myself in my organic life. I found that that's the cipher that codes me the most.
Yeah,
Um,
that's crazy you say that, Kodie, because when you really look into it, I've studied, read many books on it. They said it carries the energetic frequency of like a name or a word, so it breaks down the energetic frequency of it. So it's really good to use for decoding a person like yourself. You know, when you're decoding your own life or something
right.
like that.
For
That's
example, my mom's full name, her maiden name that she was born with, and my dad's full name he was born with equal the same in Chaldean. And the date I was born, when you type it out, June 19th, it also equals the same. So my two parents have the same gematria. They came together and they had me on that date, and it all has the same gematria. So,
that's
And then
so amazing, man.
I'll
yeah.
give you my quick example. I was born on March 15th, the Ides of March, which is the 74th day of the year. Kodie just talked about 7-4. I actually played the character Jesus at my Catholic school growing up. And sure enough, in the Bible, they have the miracle catch of 153 fish. That's how you write my birthday, 15/3. And I'm a Pisces, which is the fish. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'll just throw that in there.
Donuts is his big number tied to him is 31, and you know that's another in Chaldean, which is another number tied to the matrix in the Chaldean cipher. And have you guys ever looked into the cards, like the cards of destiny, your birth cards? Me and Donut, our birth cards are out of the standard 52 deck of playing cards, and you know that's tied to our whole calendar too when you break down the cards. But mine
We're
and
sister cards, so we got like a perfect match, which is like super rare.
yeah, Mama 10 of diamonds and Donuts the queen of clubs, which our cards are sister cards. So we was
Yes,
like
Queen.
always meant, yeah, we was always meant to be best buddies. It's kind of crazy how that worked out.
And I want to give a shout out to Laura Hughes, sent a super chat. Super chat. Gotta go feed my kitty cat to make sure he gets super fat.
Shout out to
Oh,
G.
yeah, he's doing really good. He's sleeping right here. He's just chilling. He's It's hot out here in Arizona. It's 118, I think, today,
Holy
or
moly.
117 or 116. I don't know.
Well, think about them people in Las Vegas, Donut. They still are probably without power. I don't know. I've never been to Vegas, but I would imagine it gets pretty hot out
It
there.
does, but not as hot as Arizona.
I mean, I feel bad for the old people that are without power. But sorry, Kodie, go ahead and finish your decode, brother, because it's definitely you're on point with this thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys allowing me the time to take this. I am trying not to make it too long. I should be able to breeze through this so we can add some more stuff. But again, to go with the Kerr thing, Steve Kerr equals 52 or 25, like his name, or he wore number 25. This happened in Kerr County. His last name is the same as the county. And what's the chances he finished his career just south of Kerr County wearing the number 25? And then now, 23 years later, in the year 25, you get the flooding in Kerr County. I mean, just wild. And not only that, but his full name that he goes by has a gematria match to Kerr County. What's the chance of that to go on top of to what I just showed? And in one cipher, Steve Kerr equals Kerr County and 4th of July. So thought that was pretty wild. But the big number for flood, one of the big numbers for flood in gematria, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, flood equals 83. And this is Enlil equals 83, as Tommy mentioned earlier. Enlil, all about floods and storms. Well, Enlil equals 83, flood 83, and Stephen Douglas Kerr, his full name, equals 83, like the Guadalupe River. Now, in 2003, when Steve Kerr won the championship and then retired with the San Antonio Spurs, that was the 2003 NBA Finals. Well, if you type that in gematria, that also equals 83. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and he's talking. You know, there's different ciphers for the audience because I know some people are probably like, "Shit, Tommy said Enlil equals 17." Well, that's in Chaldean. Enlil equals 17. he's talking about a different cipher. So
Hmm.
there's different ciphers. I mean, there's reverse ordinal, reverse reduction, English ordinal, um, so many different ones. Pythagorean, which is a reduction, but Chaldean sepentry. So I just wanted to let y'all know that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I try to stay to the four base, and my favorite ciphers are the base four, the Elizabethan that Rambo introduced me to, and then the Chaldean and the Jew or the Latin cipher.
Why'd they
Um,
change it to Latin? That kind of pisses me. It was Jewish, then Hebrew. Well, Hebrew, then Jewish. Now it's Latin. Like, who made that change?
I'm not
It was actually originally known as the Agrippa cipher.
right. Yeah.
Okay, so
Agrippa,
we need to stick
Agrippa,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah. Agrippa is I guess he's a Freemason scholar, and I guess I don't know if he's a mystic as well, but that's the same way Francis Bacon came up with some ciphers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Agrippa did. That was actually originally it was never called the Jewish cipher.
Oh,
It's never really been called. That's not an official term for it.
well, that's what they call it on that one gematria website. I
Yeah,
forget their name, but that's what they call it on there. So I've always wondered why did they change it like four different times.
yeah. It was never called. Jewish cipher has never been the title for that cipher. Agrippa or Latin is more accurate.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So okay, that's what we call it on truthmafia.com Latin. We stuck with that one.
yeah.
So that's fascinating. I actually made my own cipher, Rambo. You should check out the 369 cipher, bro, based on 369 in Nikola Tesla. And there's some crazy things in that one.
All right, yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It starts. A is 3, B is 6, C is 9. Then it starts over all the way through Z on the 369. And there's some crazy connections in there. I found, especially with my name, it blew my mind. But go ahead, Kodie. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, no problem, man. That's interesting. I'll definitely check out that cipher too, because the 369 is huge.
It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Golden Gate equals 369 in standard gematria. Um, so yeah, there's that. There's a lot I could say about the 369, but yeah, definitely going to check that out. Um, but like, so what really got me with these guys, or with this event, is so I mentioned how Steve Kerr was all synced up with this flood. Well, back in 2003, when he won the championship in his last game with the Spurs, just south of Kerr County, it was the main. If you look up the pictures of him from that series back in that year, the main two guys you see together is number 20 and number 25. And now here we are in 2025.
Wow.
Uh, just here's number 20 holding number 25, and then they're hugging each other, and it's just it. If you just type in Steve Kerr 2003 NBA Finals, you get most of the pictures. You get him with number 25 or number 20, so 2025. But here's where it really got wild for me is if you go back to that series in 2003, the arch nemesis or the guy across the way from Steve Kerr was Jason Kidd. So we know what just happened in Kerr County. Well, look at who they marched out. The Texas he is the chief of Department of Emergency Management for Texas, and his name is KIDD, just like the basketball player that Steve Kerr beat in 2003. And
I just want to give a shout out to Richard. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat saying, yeah, yeah, big dog time truthful in this beat. Way
Oh,
too much.
thank you, Richard. I appreciate you, brother. I
Yeah,
got to come out for Donut. When he calls, I got to come, man.
yeah. Thank you very much. Continue, Kodie. My bad.
no problem. So yeah, what is the odds that they march out a guy with the same last name as the basketball player who was across the court from Steve Kerr in 2003, and now Jason Kidd, the basketball player, now coaches. Both of them now coach. One of them for the Golden State Warriors, and the other one coaches in Texas, in Dallas. So this was kind of what solidified it for me. I was like, are you kidding me? The guy named Kidd, Nim Kidd. I've
That's
never heard the
wild.
first name Nim.
2025. The 2025 things Wow. And now these are big teams.
Yep, the Dallas Mavericks, or the Dallas Mavericks. Jason Kidd now coaches the Dallas Mavericks, and Steve Kerr now coaches the Golden State Warriors. But this is the a picture of the 2003 finals where Jason Kidd was playing on the Nets, and notice what he's wearing. Notice how he's wearing literally the stars and stripes and the red, white, and blue. And again, on the 4th of July, years later, and notice when the series ended, in June of 2003. So long ago. Again, we're going back years and finding these connections.
And Kodie,
Um,
really quick, you and I talked about this offline. That at that time, it was the New Jersey Nets, which that
yep.
team is now the Brooklyn Nets. And what did we have happen just a
Ooh.
few months back? Right, we had the Brooklyn Bridge story where the Mexican ship smashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. So
Yep.
interesting
Yep.
timing.
And that ties to the helicopter stuff also, because we had you guys remember the helicopter with the Spanish family that also crashed into the Hudson River? Well, the Spain connection is interesting because the day before this flood happened, you had the soccer player die in a crash in Spain. And again, you had the helicopter go down in the river with the Spanish family on it. And you had also the blackout in Spain this year. So Spain is a huge central theme this year.
And there's mass migration going on right in there right now of military age men. Something weird's happening over there in Spain. I don't know what they
Mm,
got planned, but it looks kind of suspect to me. They opened the
yeah,
floodgates.
yeah, definitely. This year is the year of Spain stuff. So just keep our eyes continually on that stuff, and that may also connect with Spanish. All these San Antonio is essentially Spanish.
Yep.
Um, So I think that's where, because Mexico is the key point of where all this is, the border stuff, and the Texas being on the border with the Mexico, and they speak Spanish. So I think that's where it kind of all connects with the Spanish theme. But Steve Kerr, another crazy sync, and again, this one's a little bit more harder to believe. But if you go from the last game of that NBA Finals to the start of the flooding in Kerr County, it was 8,055 days. And numerology, zeros can be removed. So 855 is the same gematria in Latin, as we talked about that cipher, as the name of Stephen Douglas Kerr. That's his full name. So that was pretty crazy. But this is where we get in, and this is where I really wanted to get to with the 322, because um, the guy who founded this camp, this Camp Mystic,
Oh wow.
he died on the 322 day of the year, and he died in Kerrville, which is where the flood happened.
Wow.
And this connects us to currency, because look at the year he died, 1929. What happened in 1929, guys? The Great Depression.
Yep. Yep.
Guys, I'm pretty sure we're heading for a financial depression at some point. Maybe we have one final hurrah with the markets, but it's possible that this is also coding for a possible economic, you
And
know.
and and did you mention that he died November 18th, 322nd day of the year? You said that.
Yep, yep. That's what I was bringing up now. Is that day he died?
And
Yep.
and Kodie, this is crazy because we just did a decode on um Final Destination Bloodlines. Me and Paranoid American. Shout out to my brother Paranoid American at paranoidamerican.com. And in that decode, he was talking about the logs from um Final Destination 2. Remember where the logs came out and took them out? That's what
Hmm.
started the whole thing in there. And logs equals 322.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, yeah, and Fibonacci. And then this whole year, that was like a blockbuster movie that came out. So there's been a huge connection. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was actually a Spanish family that was watching the movie and the freaking roof collapsed on them and they escaped death. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, that's
What?
wild.
Really?
And also, if you watch that film,
Yeah, bro.
it's like a 1929 vibe, like pre-depression with the flappers and all that, like vibe. And it goes into psychology. I think if you haven't seen the film, it starts off with it's all about money. You got the rich elite going and having a good time. And then through civilization and its discontents and the resentment that most of the world carries, which we see in all these types of protests, which is absolutely weaponized psychologically with eat the rich kind of mentality, then they all start like getting hurt, like passing away in the beginning. So you got all these rich people passing away in the beginning, but the way that they filmed it, very psychological. It was funny. So they made it hilarious seeing all these people pass away in the beginning, but then as the movie continues, it's not as funny. Did you
Talk
catch that
about
at all?
Final Destination.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
catch that at all? Like,
yeah. And did you see the little kid that got?
yeah, so I don't want to say that, but that's exactly what I was getting at. Like, it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
hilarious with the piano.
Yeah, well, the penny caused everything, and then he
The
that
penny, yeah. The
and,
penny.
and the penny said 1969 on it, and then the guy that was going to pass away at the tattoo shop. Spoiler alert. His address was 1969, and that was the year we allegedly went to the moon. July 20th of 1969, the 201st day of the year, 201. That whole event, 201
Oh,
situation.
and also, President Trump has removed the pennies, I believe. The death of the penny. So I
What?
believe there's something there too. Yeah,
Are you kidding?
that was like a big story like a couple months ago. I don't know if it totally went through, but they're not going to make that printed anymore, or however they make it, not printed, but
I don't keep
it
them
does go
anyway.
into the it
I
goes into the
throw
UBI and stuff. So like with the whole market stuff going on, absolutely, it's all connected because the big push is this new party by Elon. It's all connected to energy credits, going back to the technocratic system of social credit scoring of UBI, which will be UBC, universal basic compute. So the way that people will eat in the future, like a Ready Player One scenario, will be that they are going to get access to the AI as the payment system. So instead of getting paid universal basic income, you're going to get paid like credits that you
credits,
can
right?
access the AI that will go mine you the currency.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it'll be based on though you'll get just like how Microsoft has on their if you use Microsoft's search engine, you like get credits already. They're already setting it up that way for searching. You get credits and using this, so it's going to be like the time your life force that you put into their system. That'll be based on the credits you get. And plus, if you don't speak out against the government, they could turn your car off or say you got a warrant in one of these set up societies where they got the smart grid, the smart city. You'll go to get in your car to go to work. These self-driving cars, that thing will lock on you and drive you right to the police station. I mean, this is where we're headed with their smart city, smart grid, social credit score system. People don't see that, but that's where we are headed in the future.
And the November 18th days, super connected to money too. If we go back to Young Dolph Illuminati paper route, which showed like the money on it, he was assassinated around this time. I believe it was November 17th, as though. But it was during this blood moon. So there's full moon the day before or during it. And then Evelyn de Rothschild as well, who was running the Economist magazine, which shows all the money. It's the Economist. It's about money. That magazine passed away on the November 17th or 18th day, the day of this full moon. So there's like this 3-day window. So it could be someone connected to finance. It could be like a Warren Buffett or someone similar.
That's the day that took place, without me saying it, the Code Red situation over in China. The original event started on November 18th of 2019. So, but that was
Well,
a non-leap year, I think. So that wasn't the 322nd day of the year because it met on a leap year. I think it's the
it
17th.
moves. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
moves. So it's
Yeah.
both of them days are very symbolic. And remember that day Donut was on the newspaper when we decoded
Yeah. Yeah,
What was
leave
that?
the world behind or something.
No, no, no. It
It
wasn't
was something like that.
the
It
House
was,
of Usher. The fall
yeah.
of the House of Usher about the pharmaceutical family. Remember?
Right. So Kodie, this heart right here, when I was listening to the podcast, speaking of symbols, and AJ brought up how the heart sort of looks like the eyes in the skull and bones. I think that was a good catch there. This is like the heartland. How's this connected with the heart symbolically? The symbol is a heart. And I know there's a connection there.
Yeah, Donna. I'll just say, I'm very new to starting my YouTube channel, and that's why I'm very thankful to, be on your platform today. Please, make sure to like and subscribe to this video and everybody else involved. But my whole theme this entire year has been about the theme of love. I can't get away from it. In every example, just think about the Oklahoma City Thunder, who just won the NBA Finals, who are sponsored by Loves. Like, they literally have 5 hearts stamped on their uniform, on their chest. And actually, I didn't even see this until last night. But of course, once again, there's a heart sitting right in the middle of it. There is so much I could say
It,
about
it,
that.
it
But
also, if you look at the etymology of Jordan Maxwell's research on the illies, right here you got the two, the hill, the hilly, the illies where the elites rule on top of the hill, and then at the bottom is the the villains, the villi, the village at the bottom. So right here, even in this, but that could be way too out there. But yeah,
yeah, there's a lot. I don't want to steal Cody's thunder here, because if you guys are impressed with this 322 connection, everybody watching, you guys are about to get your socks blown off with this, because it's unbelievable.
You know, the heart ties into the deer symbolism too, guys. If you look into the etymology of the word heart, it comes from herot, meaning the male deer or the stag. And we had a major, I don't know if you guys remember, but like 2023 and 2024, it was so much deer
oh
symbolism.
yeah, the buck, right? We got the
Yeah,
buck moon coming up,
Buckaroo
and
coming up.
the buck on Leave the World Behind. It's like the deer, right? The
Yep,
buck.
yep.
And
That's
that's
the
what the
heart.
movie was about. That movie was about the ending was about currency. And
So, hey, Donut, really quick, maybe I'll just take this opportunity to share the one visual I wanted to add in this, mainly
yeah,
because when you and I talked before this live, you were telling me about the Buck Moon,
right.
and so if I could just share this one slide I created here, like Kodie mentioned, I watched the entire movie, The Flood, and the way it opens up, after, like Kodie pointed out, all of the little ones go to church, and then they all get on a bus to go to the camp.
Deer.
And when they're there, this is in the first 8 minutes of the movie. 2 girls are standing by a tree, and one of them says, look at the deer.
See, there you go.
And then all of a sudden, the deers scatter off, and they go, oh, I wonder what happened. And then right after, thunder cracks. So it's like the deer knew what was coming before it was coming, So it just, that like really hit me in the heart, where I was like, oh
Yeah,
my God, look, they're talking about the deer.
yeah, but
And the other one was
there's
this. Hold up.
layers to that shit.
But here, check this out. So the only other things, color symbolism, right? One of the buses that crosses the river, they have the Oklahoma City Thunder colors, who just won the championship. And don't forget about Hurricane Harvey in Texas. And what were they showing back then? A 10-point buck.
And it's underwater, right, Rambo?
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's underwater. So it's very
Yep.
like very small.
Yeah, so I just wanted to plug that really quick. And Rambo, you might like this. You were talking last night about the death of the Liverpool player. Well, right after the thunder cracks, some of the boys find some, I don't it makes no sense, but they see some woman by a pool, and then right after that, the rain starts coming. They run back to the campsite, and they play some tunes, and sure enough, one of the kids right in the middle is holding a soccer ball.
Talk about, yeah.
Just unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I could see some tarot connections here. The woman by the pool is probably the high priestess. The high priestess is tarot card number 2. have a female in water. Yeah, that's the high priestess. And the high priestess, it's a very watery card. It has the moon. It has water. Her dress is full of water. There's water behind her. I think that's what this is. And also, the high priestess sits between twin pillars, and twin pillars are actually on the flag of Spain. It's the Pillars of Hercules. So yeah, so much of this is basic symbolism that goes into so many events and things like popular culture. Uh, it's it's the Silver Gate. That's what that is. So water. It's birth. It's a feminine element. It's That's what the High Priestess is, and the twin pillars are. It's the metaphorical Silver Gate. So pillars are metaphorical portals to other dimensions. It could be outside of the portal, out of the 3D realm, which would be the Golden Gate. But the Silver Gate is the portal into the 3D realm, which is
Yep.
Earth, which is matter, which is feminine. And yeah, so this soccer ball, it's interesting. It does like pool, Liverpool, and he died in Spain. But you also have to consider the flag of Spain, which has the Pillar of Hercules, which were in legend they say Hercules separated the continents. So he separated Europe from Africa, in southern Spain and northern Africa, which is Morocco, and those, yeah, that's what the Pillars of Hercules are. And I guess they face, when you look at the pillars on the Spanish flag, and Donald Trump incidentally has the exact same motif at Mar-a-Lago, the Pillars of Hercules.
Yeah, the pillar dollar.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the currency that we used in America. It was the pillar dollar to Hercules money, Spain, before we changed it. So it absolutely ties in symbolically to the money thing too, with the bucks and all that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I just,
that's the
I just
general,
want,
yeah, symbolism. I thought, yeah.
yeah, I just want to throw that in there. I thought Rambo would appreciate that. Once again, this was everything we talked about last night. And then once I sat down and watched the movie, I just couldn't believe it. The 25s Kodie was talking about, and then Rambo had a lot about the Liverpool death, and it was
Well,
amazing.
check out this clock that Jeff Bezos is funding. And I didn't understand what kind of symbolism it is. It looks a lot, but you got the two pillars with like the uh, energy wrapping around it, then this circle in the middle, which is goes into like the calendar. If you look at like the summer solstice
It looks
calendar in
like an eclipse
Freemasonry,
too.
it looks like a what?
An eclipse, it could be Sirius, the third pillar. It could represent Sirius if you're looking at it as two pillars, and then the third pillar, Sirius. You know what I mean?
Yes, I thought this was
Display
kind
that
of
star.
interesting.
It reminds me of the Masonic tracing boards, which have
Exactly.
Right.
the two pillars, and then I always equate the middle part to be the star in the center, which you could say is Sirius, or the eye or the consciousness in the center. I think that's the light in the center. I read somewhere they call it the light in the center,
Yeah,
and
the Mackie. I just did this deep dive on that, but yeah, it's the tracing board for the summer solstice would be in the middle with that. So I'm happy that you see that too.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
in case you guys missed it, this is like a day old. Jeff Bezos sells 666
Yeah,
million in Amazon stock as part of his plan. I don't know if you guys saw that
yeah,
one, but
I did, and it equals like 33% of his 33.3 million shares. Right, this 33 is popping up with this case of a 33-year high, the 33 million shares with Jeff Bezos, 33 tons of gold. It's like all over the place right now. These 33s in the news reports.
But Kodie, you were right. In Freemasonry, that third star it represents Sirius, but there's also a connection to the third eye, the pineal gland, there as well,
Right.
with that symbolism.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize that.
Yeah, you see that on the dollar bill. It's an eye, a single eye with a blazing star behind the eye.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
So what about this? What do you guys think about with the national debt? It's at $37 trillion right now. Is there anything connected to 37?
That's how much we owe.
That's how much we owe. Yeah,
Oh
37.
my lord. We ain't
Yeah.
never paying
If,
that shit.
But yeah, it was 32 a while ago. So when it was saying 33, I was like, what? But is 37 connected to anything huge? Like how?
Go ahead, Rambo.
Well, the first thing I would say is that so the outermost planet is Pluto, and the United States and Donald Trump are connected to the Pluto cycle. The Pluto cycle is 248 years. That's 248. And it's very significant that the United States has been 248 years old. That's connected to the Pluto cycle because 248 is the Pluto cycle. The very last day of the United States being 248 years old, that's significant. That number was the 3rd of July because on July 4th this year, 2025, the United States turned 249 years old. So the 3rd of July was that last day to, of that Pluto cycle number, and that's the day on which the soccer player for Liverpool, Diogo Jota. So I guess in the United States, soccer is not as popular, but around the world, this is headline news. It transcends sports. The death of Diogo Jota. He's from Portugal. That's the day on which he died. Now the way that so so you realize the importance of the 3rd of July. It's the last day that the United States had that 248 number, which is the Pluto cycle number. That's in years. So 248 years is the Pluto cycle. In days, the Pluto cycle is 90,560 days. 90,560 days after July 4th, 1776 is yeah, it is June 14th, 2024, which was Donald Trump's birthday in 2024. So he's tied into the Pluto cycle.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's where this 3-7 I'd say is 3rd of July, which had a lot of significance this year, especially because it was the last day of the United States being 248 years old, 248 being the Pluto cycle, and U.S. independence is tied into the uh, the Pluto cycle, and it also ties into the whole Phoenix symbolism and the Economist magazine in 1988. Again, 88, that key number. On January 1st, the Economist magazine on its cover had a phoenix, and that was the hypothetical future one world currency. It was called the Phoenix, and it featured burning uh, paper currencies with a phoenix rising. It was called, and the title was "Get Ready for a One World Currency." Now, the reason the phoenix is relevant is because the phoenix is a symbol of the zodiac sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is not just a scorpion; it can be other things. It can also be the phoenix, and the ruling planet of Scorpio is Pluto. So it ties you back into Pluto. And I could go on. The player who died was from Liverpool. If you look at the logo for Liverpool, the team logo, it's actually a phoenix. They don't call it a phoenix, but it's a phoenix. It's an occulted phoenix. It's clearly a phoenix. So that ties into the death of the Liverpool player, the Diogo Jota. Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what
and
else is 37 too? Coming full circle back to the
Yep.
deer, buck. Buck is 37 in English ordinal. And the buck moon and all this deer symbolism connected to the etymology of the heart. But yeah, the phoenix is another huge one. Remember Rambo? That was in the Super Bowl halftime show a few years back when Usher was playing. He had that phoenix emblem pin on. Remember? Yeah, what Super Bowl was that one?
Oh, Usher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was on
yeah.
halftime.
Usher was at the Las Vegas Super Bowl. That was Super Bowl 58.
Okay, yeah, he had the
Yeah.
Phoenix pin, and there was a lot of Phoenix symbolism in that. Jacob Israel pointed that out, did an amazing video on that. Remember that, Donut? Shout out to Jacob.
Shout out, Jacob. Now we're pressing on time. I want Kodie. Can we kind of steer back into the rest of your presentation?
Yep. It just I can go real fast through this with the 322 and 223 connections. So now that
Yeah.
we know the guy that founded it died on in Kerrville on the 322 day. So this brings us back to, of course, the society out of Yale with the 322, and it brings us back to the former governor of Texas and former president during 2001 September 11th, which is George W. Bush, who was a member as well as his father of Skull and Bones. And he came out and said, former President Bush comes out and says he's heartbroken about the Texas flooding. So, and remember, I connected this whole thing to Steve Kerr, right? Well, what are the chances that this flood in Kerr County occurred 2 months and 23 days before his birthday? And in gematria, flash flooding equals 223, natural disaster 223, skull and crossbones, which is the symbol of the logo of Skull and Bones, that equals 223. The governor of the current governor of the state of Texas, Gregory Wayne Abbott, equals 223. And look at how they do this, guys. They even code the Wikipedia titles. I'm telling you, they do this. July 2025 Central Texas floods sums to 322 in gematria. If you type the title they give you, I always do that. I always take the Wikipedia titles and I type them in, and I get 322s more often than this. I've gotten a few times 322s when I type in the titles. But yeah, so the July 2025 Central Texas floods equals 322. And another interesting fact, considering we're talking about the 322 and the reverse of that, the 223, if you go from the floods 322 days forward, you land on 522, which is an occulted 322 because May is originally the third month. So you would actually have May being the third month, which is 322, and May 22nd is the 223 days left in the year. So that's if you go 322 days forward from the floods, you land on that day. And then look who was even a counselor at this Camp Mystic.
Oh, weird.
The wife and first lady, Laura Bush.
In
So-
Kodie, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. That's what it is. I just put it in. High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program is 223 and reduction.
Wow. So that just brings it all together. I mean, because not only does flash flooding have the 223, now Tommy's pointing out how the the full term for that has the 223, as well as natural disaster. And again, the main theme I pointed out was that Steve Kerr connecting to Kerr County, that it just happens to be 2 months and 23 days before his birthday. And then the governor has the 223. So it's just wild. And another one, if you go from the start of the 2003 NBA Finals with Steve Kerr and you measure to the start of the floods, it was 2230 days. Another 223. And fun fact, Gregory Wayne Abbott equals 223 in standard gematria, but also equals 2230 in Latin. So he has double 223 gematria, this guy, Greg Abbott. So yeah, that's just wild I'm glad you added that in there because it just fits in perfectly. And this is, thank you, AJ.
Wow, look at that.
Thank you, AJ, for this. This is AJ's find, but he was watching the movie and he pointed out, and
Good
you guys got to
job.
watch the movie. The way that they move this, at first you don't see the 3, right? But they move it perfectly out, and then all of a sudden, here comes the 3 appearing outside of the cameraman turns to the side, and here's the 3, and then you get the perfect 322.
And you probably already notated this, but they're from Texas. That's like what they're
Right.
no, right.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah,
And-
I fell out of my chair when that happened. That's towards the end of the movie when the parents that actually have their kids back that survived. This is a scene where they're reunited with their little one, and they're walking off screen, and this cameraman with the 22. I was like, 22, and yeah, he's covering the 3, and then he walks right past it as the parents are walking away, and I nearly fainted. I was like, oh my god, you can't! Come on.
And yeah, and let's not forget that this is the scene where they're mourning the passing, like the brotherhood of death. It's crazy how you guys got to find the video on YouTube and just watch how they make this play out. It's just like wow. So thank you, AJ, for seeing this.
Are the Bushes from Connecticut originally or Texas? Someone said that.
Yeah, someone said that. But Connecticut's where Yale Skull and Bones is located. I didn't know they were from Connecticut. Makes sense.
No, Bush Senior was born in Milton, Massachusetts.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, they're from Massachusetts before Connecticut. Milton, Massachusetts. And think of Hurricane Milton.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He was the
And like
governor of
But
Texas.
the young one was born. Was he born in Texas? Right, the little Bush,
uh,
or was
yeah, the slow one.
little Bush?
Well,
Little,
also wasn't
how did he become
Bush
the president?
wasn't Bush president during Hurricane Katrina too? So there's like all this
Yeah, yeah.
stuff.
That's remember Kanye said Bush don't like
Yeah, he
Yeah,
does not care. Yeah,
melanated people. Yeah,
yeah.
he does not care. But yeah, but
our melanated brothers and sisters. I couldn't even
yeah.
believe Kanye said that. It's like he glitched out or something on TV. And after that, I don't know, man. He definitely changed. If you go back and watch Kanye pre that statement, and then watch him after that,
I
I
mean,
don't
yeah,
know.
there are some Hurricane Katrina and New Orleans connections that I have, but I mean, you can go to my channel to see that. But Katrina and New Orleans are connected to this.
And Rambo,
And
we
hey,
got your
Donut.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, Donut, I was just going to say, I got one more slide. I want to be cognizant of time, but to really put one more mic drop on this from a sports/basketball perspective, it
Right.
also blew my mind from a 3-2-2 perspective. Latest in the news, right before these flooding stories happened, you had a trade of Kevin Durant, who went to the University of Texas at Austin, and he got traded to Houston. And where did he get traded from? Phoenix. We were just talking about Phoenix. Steve Kerr played at Arizona, etc. But look at this. When you look at Hurricane Harvey, the last storm flooding type of story that started on August 17th, 2017, that was exactly 322 days after Kevin Durant's birthday. So you can't escape these 322s when you know what to look for.
Yeah, I see it. It's all over the place.
There's a major sports connection. It's just something I never look into because it's hard for me to watch sports. Now, yeah, you guys that decode sports all the time, I do got a question for you. And before I ask this question, anybody that wants a personal decode of yourself to find out your organic source code, go on over to truthfultv.com and you can get it there. Now, Balll, you're big into sports. Do you think the basketballs really have magnets in them? Because
I think it's very possible. I'm starting to think more that there's a lot more esoteric, powerful um, forces that are part of that as well.
but you've
So
seen the
I
videos where
can't take
people
it as
say there's
literal.
magnets in the basketball. What do you think, Rambo? You think there's some magnets in these damn balls?
That's the thing. We'll always speculate how exactly they do what they do. Is it magnets? I think it could be energy. In football with field goals, I think they use energy weapons. Some of the movement, you can even see the reaction on some of these field goal kickers. They cannot believe that that kick didn't go in. The look on their face is complete disbelief.
Yeah, exactly.
Disbelief is different than disappointment. If you're a field goal kicker and you shank it, or you didn't take the wind into account, you try to compensate, but you didn't. There's a look of disappointment. That's different than a look of disbelief. The kickers very often have a look where they cannot believe they did everything right. I have no idea how it missed. I think, at least with field goals, they're using energy weapons, but and there are other things. Referees' decisions, do certain players throw the game? We'll always speculate, but I think magic does play a big role in it. That's part of the mystery of this matrix that we're all trying to decode.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
if
don't
anyone
forget,
remembers.
Rambo, don't forget about that commercial of David Blaine, the magician, right? There was a commercial series he did for the NBA, and he said, is it magic or is it magnets? I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of that mockery, if you will. Like, there's some truth in the jokes, you
I think
know?
there's magnets in it. That's my and I don't know nothing about sports, but I watched some videos on it, and then I was a believer. I'm like, whoa, there's got to be a magnet in that damn ball. Some of these shots that they make. I mean, I know they're good. I'm not trying to take away from their skills, but yeah, just some of it is crazy. And I never thought of the energy weapon thing. That makes sense. And then yeah, you got the referees. They're making calls that most people flip out about, but it's because they want a game to go a specific way, right?
Yeah, I saw some of it is actual magic, or whatever you call, however you manipulate this realm. Some of it, it's hard to explain, and plus they always have technology that the public does not know about. Yeah, the public knows about energy weapons. The public knows about magnets. There are some very advanced technologies that
Yeah.
have not been released to the public, and I'm pretty sure they're using some of those too.
which is a
So here,
form of magic. They said when technology gets so advanced,
Yep.
it's hard to distinct from magic.
Yeah, yeah. Magic and science are the same thing.
so
Yes.
hey,
Yep.
Donut, really quick, if you wouldn't mind pulling this up, because this is an example of it not being magnets. And if it's not magnets, then what is it? It's talking about Phoenix, right? There was a story when just search Devin Booker bloody nose, and he collides with a player in the middle of the game, and he busts his nose, bleeding all over the place, right at the 3 minute and 22 second mark of the quarter. Yeah,
Oh,
so
3-2-2. Look, it says it right there.
yeah, there you go. So you just watch this play. This isn't about a ball going in. This is just about like something that happens. And just so you guys know, the owner's wife was sitting courtside wearing a shirt of Steve Nash with a busted, bloody nose.
Yeah, and nobody touched him there. What the heck happened?
Let me make it bigger for everyone to see.
What is making his? This is blowing my mind right here.
And it happens right at 3-2-2. That's crazy.
Watch. The clock stops at 3-2-2.
That dude didn't touch his face. Watch. He doesn't make contact with his face at all. He's even like, what the heck? What is going on here?
I heard
clock stops at 3-2-2.
As they're promoting PayPal. Did you see that?
I heard that they overreact on their falls. That's for so they can get like a point or something like that. So
well, he got a point for that PayPal promotion right there. I bet you on that.
Where's PayPal at?
It's right
on the shirt.
I mean, they're plugging PayPal right there at 3-2-2 in. They plug PayPal.
Yeah, shout out to Elon Musk.
I mean,
but you get my
that's
point though, right? Like this isn't magnets. Like,
yeah, that's something.
That's hilarious.
That's something right there. I mean, nobody touched that dude's face.
Now we're coming up on the hour and 30-minute mark. I'm not sure how long you guys can chill, but Kodie, did we get through the full presentation, or would we like to add some more to it? I'm not trying to rush anybody. I just want to respect y'all time.
Yeah, I have time, and I just have like 1 or 2 slides, and then if anyone wants to just expound, I just have like 1 or 2 more slides, and I'll be finished out. But
okay, and everybody, please go subscribe to everybody's channel. I got them down below. Tommy Truthful. You can get his decodes over on his website. Rambo's got a Patreon, so you got to go subscribe to Rambo's Patreon. Got them links down below. AJ's YouTube. And he also does sports stuff on his website, but go subscribe to his YouTube. DeKode with Kodie as well. Go to his YouTube and subscribe. But make sure to smash that like button as well. And share this video out. And for y'all, if y'all got to bounce, I just want to let that there.
Rambo, what's your YouTube?
I do not have a YouTube. I actually deleted my own channel. I mean, since you asked, I'm going to say I wasn't going to say anything, but since you mentioned it, I deleted my own YouTube channel.
Yeah, I know. I followed you. I almost cried, dude.
Yeah, I was 90 subs away from 10,000 when I deleted it. I had a 9,990. The reason I deleted it is because I started being subjected to energy weapons, and the gang stalking started picking up, and I didn't know what else to do other than that. Yeah. It's not like you don't call the police. I mean, come on. I mean, what do you do? It's a unique situation. I don't know anyone to consult with, and it was just a knee-jerk reaction to this. I was literally being subjected to earthquake weapons. Where the house I was living in was being shaken, and I had all sorts of problems which I have now, which they've continued. And that was my knee-jerk reaction to that.
Text me. I'm going to teach you a few tricks on how to block them bad boys. So hit me offline. I got some things for you because I've dealt with it myself. And, most people will think you're crazy until you but when you're able to reach, like our Facebook last month, we reached 4 million people. When you're reaching 4 million people and talking about what we talk about, they don't want you to be able to do that. So how do they do that? They can incapacitate you. Look, it made this man one of the best decoders, guys, and this coming from me, Tommy, one of the best decoders in the game, shut his channel down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So what's let's move on to what with these slides, and we'll continue. Kodie.
Yeah. So just real quick, considering we made the connection, this slide I made the connection with the Bush connection, and then the 322, and then Laura Bush is literally a counselor at the camp, and then we found the 322 in the movie, and then we find out that the main star, the main actor of that old movie in 1993, he was literally born. I mean, you might as well say he was born the same day as George Bush. I mean, within 24 hours.
wow.
Um, I mean, this is not even just the same day. This is the same year. Like and this kind of brings me to a real quick point I want to make. I started experimenting with Martian years, and just to explain quickly what that is, on the Gematria calculator, we started using measuring a Martian year is 687 days on Earth. So 687 um, days on Earth is how long it takes Mars to do an orbit, its own year. So when last month, Trump turned 42 Martian years, and that was on the day of the attack. Israel attacked Iran, right? Well, I was looking out for that day beforehand because the 42 is so huge with war. War equals 42. World war equals 42. And I was like, man, Trump's going to turn 42 Martian years old, which is the god of war, on like June 12th or 13th. And then on that day, what did we get? We get an attack on Iran, which equals 42. Well, because George W. Bush was born just a month later, guess when the floods started? The floods he used to be the governor of Texas. The flood started on his 42nd Martian birthday. So far, we've had an attack on Trump's 42nd Martian birthday. Then we had the floods on George Bush's 42nd Martian birthday. And then the next president to get his 42nd Martian birthday is the 42nd president, Bill Clinton. And what happened the same day as George W. Bush's 42nd Martian year? Trump signed the bill, the big, beautiful bill. And I believe it's pointing us. I'm just bringing this up because it's a watch date for me. Bill Clinton's birthday, around his Martian birthday next month, which is August 17th, and he was the governor of Arkansas, the 42nd governor. What do you think about when you hear Arkansas, flood, like the Ark? So this is something I'm looking forward to in the future next month. But yeah, just my final thoughts.
Hey, that's in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They said the number 42 was like the key to reality. Remember that?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I think computer equals 42. Internet equals 42. This also connects to the internet.
All is revealed is 42 in Chaldean. All is revealed. It's a huge number, bro.
Yep. Absolutely. It is a really big number.
Yeah,
That
it's
42.
a number tied to misfortunes in the Asian cultures too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's when the system will crash when it hits 42 trillion debt. You never know. Yeah, you never know. I don't know what the limit is. I don't know what the limit is. What if 42 is the limit? Yeah,
That might be the limit. 42 trillion. We're
You know,
getting
that would make a lot of sense, really, actually.
Well, the beast reigns for 42 months.
yeah.
it?
There's a ton with 42 in biblical connections too. The Gentiles will trample on the holy city for 42 months. Revelations 11:12. I mean, the 42 months during which the beast was given, what you just mentioned, that's Revelations 13, right? I believe. And then
Yeah.
the famine
Yeah.
during the time of Elijah lasted 42 months in Luke 4:25, if you guys remember. And there's also a connection to the little ones mocked the prophet Elijah. He cursed them, and 42 of them passed away by fierce animals, which always blew my mind. That Bible verse, I'm like, what? So they just mocked Elijah, and then they got ate by animals? That's kind of deep. You know what I mean? That's kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shout out to Slick Dissident up in the chat. Rambo, you and Slick would be a cool podcast if y'all teamed up.
Oh
And,
yeah, Slick's amazing.
yeah. Thank you so much, Kodie.
Yeah,
Was dope.
that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys giving me the time and that was just kind of, I wanted to throw the 128s in there for you, Donut. Flash flooding equals 128, like Independence Day. So I thought I'd throw that in there as the final slide, because I know that 128 is a number you talk about often, and it is a big number. I picked up many patterns in gematria on that. So
Well,
yeah, that was.
I taught him that shit. So he I did.
I just want to say, Kodie, just a speculation on my part. You talked about Nim Kid, kind of an unusual first name, Nim. I suspect it's short for Nimrod. And
Ooh.
Nimrod is the sun god of Babylon. Part of the Babylonian trinity is Nimrod, Tammuz, and Semiramis.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nimrod is the sun, Tammuz is the resurrected sun, and Semiramis is that's the sacred feminine, which is part of this. That's what I think that Nim is. I think it's Nimrod.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
that's a good one.
Semiramis is Nimrod's. Wasn't that? Well, I don't know. Some people say it's not true, but wasn't it his supposed to be his mother? And where we get the cross symbolism really comes from Tammuz. That's his symbol. Most
Yeah,
people.
so yeah, it predates Christianity. This is ancient Babylonian, but that symbolism of the Trinity has existed throughout all forms of spirituality. The Trinity, that you have Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So the sacred feminine is Semiramis. That's where Semiramis was the dove. You can even look up Semiramis dove. That's where Christianity adopted the dove for the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is supposed to be feminine, which, if you want to see my decode, I'll put it up on my channel. But this is what I talk about. My decode is about the sacred feminine symbolism, and this is at the heart of it. It's removal of the sacred feminine. That's why they're
Yeah.
desecrating and they're destroying the sacred feminine. That's the
It,
dove.
it's Sophia. The Holy Spirit was a female. Sophia. If you look into Gnosticism, there was the creator, the first, right, the father, and then Sophia, the mother. She created Yaldabaoth without her counterpart. That's why he's so psychotic. Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, and yeah, that she was literally represented as the Holy Spirit, the feminine, and then they pulled that out of there and stole that divine feminine out of it in many different um,
Yeah.
versions
And
of.
that's the heart of this ritual is destruction of the sacred feminine, removal of the sacred feminine at the heart of this. And since the sacred feminine is part of the Trinity, I'll just say, since Kodie brought up Nim Kid, I think Nim is short for Nimrod, which is part of it's all about the Trinity. That's what Skull and Bones is. Skull and Bones is the Trinity. It's supposed to be skull, bones, heart. The Trinity is skull,
Wow.
bones. It's skull, bones, heart. The skull is thought. The bones are action, which are both male. Thought and action are male. Emotion is female.
Yep.
You're removing emotion. You're removing the heart from the Trinity, and all that's left is skull and bones. That's why you're seeing so much 322, because
Whoa.
it's a symbolic of removal of the sacred feminine, which that's why it's the victims are females, and that's what my decode is about. And if you want to see my decode, go to patreon.com/the truth codes. It's about the removal of the sacred feminine. That's the heart of this.
The
Yeah, I
destruction of
just
home. There was a big 55 number I learned. I think I learned that from maybe you, Rambo, with the birthing rituals.
No, for me, 57 was the big
Oh,
birthing.
yeah, 57. My bad. It was
57 and 52.
Yeah,
57 and 52.
57. It was 57. It was 57 because Donut had a connection to 57. And I remember when I was watching your thing, and that's tied to the law of attraction, that number as well, in Chaldean. And then you were breaking it down about the birthing rituals and the destruction of the sacred feminine. I think I originally heard that from you.
Yeah, that's how I predicted that Rihanna would be the Super Bowl halftime show at Super Bowl 57. She
Yep.
was pregnant. She was all about birth. And I didn't say she will be. I said she would be the most appropriate Super Bowl 57 performer. And then she went one better. Like, okay, I was right about that. She went one better. And she was pregnant at the Super Bowl halftime show. She'd already given birth. And so it was just like birth symbolism on top of birth symbolism. But yeah, that's what the heart of this ritual is.
That's wild. Now, Rambo, do you have anything that you'd like to share? Slides or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do. I don't know how much time we have left, but
I'm good. I'm good to keep rolling. I just want to respect y'all time to go through all
okay.
the.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can just give a brief summary on my decode, which is about, and I haven't uploaded it yet, so it's still an editorial, but I can still share my screen, my editorial.
Yeah, do it, man. We'll never have
get that popcorn ready, everybody. Get that popcorn ready.
All right, so Oedipus. Okay, I'll request to share the screen.
Nice. And there's a lot going on with Illuminati news type stuff with the earthquakes. I'm not sure if this is something you guys been looking into, but whenever the mainstream talks about earthquakes, I don't really listen to it. They were talking about the Japan and the Magna prediction stuff. But the volcano thing is interesting because that's also in the news, and that was connected to the Super Bowl halftime show with all the volcano Reese Pieces, Mountain Dew, and all that. So that's something that maybe I got to look back out for. But Mountain Dew sort of in the news. Here's Ani's post on this was trending the Liberty Chill, but the thing I would look out more for is the Summer Freeze because this is what they're promoting. But I thought Ani had a good connection to the new Drake album, Iceman, and we're hearing all this ice stuff too.
Oh man.
Yep.
So I'm sure there's something there.
Have you guys ever heard of Ice 9?
No, what's that?
It's a theory that there's going to be an attack on the banks, a cyber attack on the banks that's going to freeze the banking system.
Oh, there you
It's called
go.
the banking
Kodie,
freeze.
Kodie, oh my God, man! So, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was literally about to say that San Antonio, the Spurs, the main team we've talked about, they're sponsored by Frost Bank,
Oh
or at
no!
least they were. They have Frost Bank stamped on their jersey.
Oh
So,
no! Wow.
And I'll say this: I live right next door to Liberty Hill. So when I saw that Liberty Chill post, I was like, "Uh oh."
You got to give Donut credit though. I might have taught him some things, but he definitely is the OG when it comes to breaking down Mountain Dew and taught us. Because I never even looked at that
Oh,
until
bro,
Donut
thank
taught
you.
me the Mountain Dew connection, and there's so much in it. Like, bro, with
Absolutely.
Well,
it's
so like with Mountain Dew, uh, thank you for saying that. But like this code red, and people could fact check me. Maybe I'm wrong and egotistical, but during this the Hawaii Maui burst, I don't know if I came up with the Maui burst thing. Probably not.
yeah,
But
you
then
did.
I definitely was like pushing it hard though. But when it comes to the code red, that was something me and my friend came up with. We're like, yo, the code red system. But now it's like on all these big main. I don't know that what podcast this is, but
But
it's all
Donut, your blue Miami blue connection. Think about right now. I'm sure you've seen this about the people are taking buckets outside as it's raining, and the water is like Powerade blue. I'm sure you've
Damn
seen.
it! I'm working on a
no,
video
no.
about it right now about Balll. I'm almost done with it. Yeah, the water is raining freaking blue, bro. It's going viral.
It's like this color blue.
It looks like antifreeze,
It's
Donut.
that blue drip, bro. It's that blue drip. Uh, where can I find that? Because I got to show people. Because I just did a whole video on
Just Google
methylene.
blue rain, right? Like
Yeah,
right now,
just
Google blue rain. You'll see
I
it.
mean, it's like going viral everywhere. I can't believe you brought that up because I wasn't gonna say nothing because I'm working on a video about it.
Okay, here I'm gonna just.
It was one
pull
of the
this.
first things I thought of. I was thinking about you, Donut, where I was like,
That's
"Oh my
so
God, look at
funny.
this!"
There's tons of videos on it. Like it's going viral everywhere. It started going viral
That's that blue
yesterday.
drip, bro. It's that blue. It's chalk, bro. It's the Aztec chalk. But okay, that's interesting. Thank you for. Yeah, I'm gonna do a video on that too.
Yeah, I'm working on one. It looks like antifreeze. Like it's like, what is going on? Is this some geoengineering stuff going on here? I mean, rain doesn't come out blue.
That's crazy. That's
You
crazy.
know, I've never seen it. I'm 42 years old. Speaking of the number 42, and I've never seen blue rain. Now we got all this blue rain. A couple years back, we had snow that wouldn't melt. I mean, what is going on in this reality? It's like the Matrix is glitching, bro. It's called geoengineering, is what it is. They're doing some craziness.
So Rambo, this is your screen is a cool. I'm sharing it.
Yeah. This is it. I haven't yet made a title, but I told you kind of the gist of it. And
Yeah.
it's about the flooding in Texas. I'm going at the esoteric heart of it. I went over it. It's the destruction of the sacred feminine, but the wolf is major symbol here, and that has to do with it's the Guadalupe River, and Lupe, it comes from the Latin word for wolf, which is lupus, and this goes to Rome, the arguably maybe the most powerful empire in history. Rome did not die. It
Nope.
changed its facade. Rome is still in power.
Oh,
Um, and you can tell us by the symbolism. That's why you read symbols, understand symbols. There's a saying I like uh, to stress, which is a picture can express 1,000 words, a symbol can express 1,000 pictures, and
Mm.
and the wolf is one of those pictures. Now there are two major entities that use the wolf as a symbol. One is Rome, and in legend, Rome was founded by Romulus, who, along with his twin brother Remus, was nursed and raised by a she wolf. There's that female symbolism again. They're really emphasizing the female. It's a female wolf that raised Romulus and Remus, which is the symbol of Rome. The other wolf is a symbol of the tribe of Benjamin. The Israelites were held captive in Babylon for 70 years. And there were two tribes that were held captive. It was the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah. Judah is the lion. They use the lion as the symbol.
yep.
Benjamin uses the wolf. So, and they were held captive in in Babylon. And so the destruction of sacred feminine, removal of the sacred feminine that I talked about, and Tommy is clearly very familiar with. Uh, that also applies to Judaism, because it's so there are 12 tribes. Judah is one of 12, but the religion as a whole is now referred to as Judaism. That one refers to one tribe. So that shows you the influence. So they did change. Their practices were different before they were held captive in Babylon. Before they were held captive in Babylon, they used to honor the sacred feminine in the form of Asherah. And in the holy temples, they had symbols, usually a pole or a tree, in honor of Asherah, who's the sacred feminine. And you'll see how this is clearly about Asherah. So you have the wolf symbol and the Asherah symbol. It's abundantly clear in this ritual here with the Texas flooding. And so it's called Guadalupe. Lupus is wolf. So Guadalupe, they say he has multiple meanings. One of them is river of the wolf. You think Gua is in agua. The word in Spanish for water is agua. So Gua, the Gua, and then Lupe. So you can see how that's water and wolf. So it means river of the wolf. The wolf is, I gave it, Rome is the wolf, and the tribe of Benjamin is the wolf. And so I talk about the sacred feminine. So Guadalupe is a reference to one of the holiest sites in Christianity, particularly Catholicism, which is Our Lady of Guadalupe Shrine, which is in Mexico. And this is the way Our Lady of Guadalupe, you can call it the Virgin of Guadalupe, which is the Virgin Mary. This is how she's depicted. And this is the key element here is her dark blue robe with a starry night. Now, where does that come from? That comes from the ancient Egyptian goddess Nut, also Nuit. That's where you get the word night. And you can see it's the night sky.
Mm.
And this is how, okay, where is this graphic? I
No,
have,
it's at the top. I
oh, there,
saw
oh, yeah,
it.
okay, thank you. All right.
They use that in the Squid Games too, sort of. It looks sort of like that, or the Starry Night by Van Gogh.
That's right. They did. Yeah.
People say it represents the firmament too. Like in the flat Earth community, they use it a lot. But just a big shout out to Rambo. How I started connecting because I decode like him too, and I learned all that from him, tying in the astrological stuff to it, the Egyptian gods. So thank you for that, Rambo.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad I can help. And
Is that the Royal Arch symbol at all? Like I don't know. I've never read that it was or anything, but that's
the Royal Arch it's the arc of the sun starting at its birth in Aries, its apex in Cancer, and then its death, quote unquote, in Libra. That's the Royal Arch. The apex of the Royal Arch is in Cancer because the apex of the Royal Arch is the keystone, which is in Masonry. The keystone holds the strength of the structure is held in the keystone, and it has a Cancer glyph on it. And that's actually why a lot of this is happening in cancer. So the Royal Arch is related to this, because the Royal Arch is primarily about cancer. The zodiac sign,
Mhm.
which is in July. So yeah, the Royal Arch is related in that term, in that respect. But
Yeah.
so the goddess Nut or Nuit, which is in English you get the word night. It's about the star or the heavens, quote unquote, and she's also referred to as the Queen of Heaven, which Queen of Heaven, multiple goddesses, sacred feminines have been referred to as the Queen of Heaven. And one of the terms that even Catholics have for the Virgin Mary, which is that's who this is, but it's based on Nuit, is Mother of God. Now think about that, Mother of God. If you're the Mother of God, that means you birthed God. So God is supposed to be the original creator, but if God has a mother, then that mother of God would be the original creator. But that's the power of this symbol. And so Nuit is also a water goddess. She was also depicted with a water vessel on her head, so you can see where the water is. I took a screenshot from Wikipedia. She's identified with a water pot above her head, and so Christy Noam, who's the Homeland Security head, she's part of this ritual. They planned these things ahead of time. They had to have a female in place now because Homeland Security is dealing with this, and she's even despite this, she's been talking a lot about FEMA, saying that FEMA should be completely dismantled and eliminated, even at a time of crisis. She didn't say it should be improved or made more efficient. She wants it eliminated. But she's part of this. So it's a sacred feminine symbol, but they'll use females in it. Very often they'll use ironic females who kind of have no empathy, because sacred feminine represents empathy and care and purity and innocence. And they'll put a female in there who's the complete opposite, who's a sociopath or psychopath or a sociopath, which if you're a genuine person, I mean, I'm not sure how you get into high positions of government, but Christy Noem, I gave an example. She quotes, yeah, I mean, that's keeping it real. But she says, I walked through the cabin where all the little girls died. It's one of the major headlines, but she's part of the ritual. They wanted a female in place for this. And think about the name FEMA. It's only,
It's female.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
FEMA, female. This is all about the female. This is all about, it's an all girls camp. This is all about the female. But so the female who are present are not necessarily sacred feminine, which what does it represent? Purity, innocence, empathy, humanity. That's not, that doesn't mean that the people they're using represent that. I mean, the United States is actually, it's actually founded on the sacred feminine principle. The District of Columbia, Columbia comes from Columba, which is Latin for dove. The dove we talked about, it's the Holy Spirit that comes from ancient Babylonian Semiramis,
Yep.
who is the sacred feminine. This is a country who uses that sacred feminine symbol for its capital, the District of the Dove. Columba is the dove, and it's District of Columbia in between Virginia and Maryland. Virgin Mary, Virginia, Maryland, Virgin Mary, and yet this is the most warmongering country in human history. It doesn't live up to that principle. So
It's like an inversion of them principles, right, Rambo?
yeah, so it's more like a desecration of the sacred feminine principle.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll do that. But not to say there's no humanity at all. There's still some left. Hopefully, that can prevail. There is some humanity left, and even there's some people in government who have some humanity. So this is not hopeless. It's not over, but this is just the rituals they play. But look at where Christy Noam is from, Watertown, South Dakota. That's why she's chosen for the ritual.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, that's going back to Newt. Again, that's where Our Lady of Guadalupe is based on Newt, and the water vessel on her head. And so, yeah, so this is about some of the headlines, and these are preteen girls specifically. So there's that virgin symbolism and sacred feminine symbolism, and it's also I talk about Virginia and Maryland symbolizing Virgin Mary.
Right.
So, I mean, with all the coastline, the United States, this humongous country, has all this coastline, but where specifically along this massive U.S. coast is the headquarters of the U.S. Navy, because the Navy has to do with water and ships. It's Virginia. And Virginia is based, the name Virginia is based off Virgin Mary. And then Maryland is Virginia, Maryland is based off of that. That's where you have the U.S. Naval Academy in Maryland, Annapolis. So all this water themes and the sacred feminine, they all go together. And again, we're talking about the wolf, Lupe, Guadalupe, and that's the she wolf who raised Romulus and Remus. And this goes back to the ancient Israelite slash Jewish tradition before Babylon. This is pre-Babylon. Asherah. Asherah was worshipped in the temples, and there's disagreement. Asherah could have been the consort of Baal or Yahweh, or she could have been the consort of El. So those are two, and historians don't agree on which she was. But Asherah
What do
was.
you think? What do you think? I always thought she was a consort of Balll, but is that wrong?
I mean, historians disagree, but she seems more aquatic, and she seems more in line with the ancient Mesopotamian Anu. That's where you get
Oh,
Anunnaki from.
yeah,
Anu,
yeah.
and Anu had the trident, which he gave to Enki, who's Neptune, who's Poseidon,
Yep.
who's it's Enki, and Ashura seems to tie more into that. And Baal is the weather god, the storm god, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
that's more that's
fascinating.
more Enlil.
So
So
Ashura is what she used to have. That's why we have like Pride Month. It's all tied to Ashura,
yeah,
right?
so Pride Month is a modern iteration. So what they're doing now in the modern times probably is not related to the veneration of Ashura in original ancient times. So if now they have
Right, right.
yeah, if they're doing Pride, and think about Pride Month. What's the symbol for Pride? Is the rainbow, and the rainbow came out after the Great Flood. So I think that's maybe how. And so there's a very important moniker of Ashura, and that is, and I put it in my headline: "She who treads on the sea." And I have I
Wow,
give
I
an
never
example
heard that about her.
from the Encyclopedia Britannica on Ashura. I show how she who treads on the sea is one of her monikers. And I'd like to give a shout out to one of my patrons, a longtime supporter who I deeply appreciate. She's very knowledgeable. She goes by Casey, and she's educated me a lot on the history and the mythology of Ashura and the original Israelite spiritual tradition where Ashura was she was at the same level as the male gods. Baal and El. She was at their level,
Yeah.
but she got removed. This is destruction. So again, so shout out to Casey, one of my patrons, for educating me on this.
Do
I
you,
couldn't have put this all together,
do
yeah,
you
without
think
her.
she's Tanit in the Phoenician culture? Do you think she's that god or no? Are they different entities? Ashura.
He
You
said,
know
how do you already said Tenet?
Tanet, yeah, they she was a god like amongst the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians.
I'm
They
from yeah. So Tenet, I think, is a derivative from Tiamat, and
ah
yeah, and Tiamat. Now Tiamat is interesting. You talk about destruction of the sacred feminine, the ultimate destruction of the sacred feminine, the ultimate uh, uh, ritual is depicted in Star Wars, and that might be uh, an actual event. The original home planet of Princess Leia, she's the sacred feminine there, and Luke Skywalker, their original home planet was Alderaan. Now, the Death Star in Star Wars destroyed the entire planet of Alderaan. Alderaan was you can see it had these sacred feminine principles of, there's harmony. It's kind of this idyllic kind of Garden of Eden type planet. And it got destroyed by the Death Star completely. That was Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker's home planet. And they were twins. Think of the twins that founded Rome, Romulus, Remus, that same symbolism. The orbits right now you have, if you include Pluto as a planet, 9 planets, but there are 10 orbits. There is an orbit which doesn't have a planet on it, and that's the asteroid belt. Now the Ceres is on the asteroid belt, and I think it might be considered a planet now, but the asteroid belt is an orbit with no planet on it, and it appears that there used to be a planet on that orbit. It's in between Mars and Jupiter. So from Mars, the next planet after Mars is Jupiter, but there's an orbit in between those Mars and Jupiter. That's the asteroid belt. That could have been the location of a planet along.
Vulcan.
What is that?
Wasn't there a planet in Vulcan at one time there in that area named
So,
Vulcan?
yeah, so Tiamat is one of the words given for that planet.
Yeah.
Phaeton is another name given for that. And also Lucifer is another name given for it. Now, Lucifer is the light bearer. Lucifer doesn't necessarily always have a negative connotation. That came from Dante when he did Dante's Inferno. And Milton, who did Paradise Lost. Think of Milton. Where did I say George Bush Sr. was from? Milton, Connecticut. Milton did Paradise Lost, and Paradise Lost is a book very highly regarded by Satanists. And so they're the ones who equated Lucifer with Satan. But Lucifer isn't always equated with Satan. Lucifer is the light bearer, which very often is referred to the sun itself in a positive uh, connotation. Think of Luke, Lucifer, Luke Skywalker. That's the sun, or it could be Venus. Venus is also the the light bearer. There's the term that people say Lucifer, son of the morning. That's incomplete. It's Lucifer, son of the morning star. They leave that word out. It's Lucifer, son of the morning star, not son of the morning. The
That's why
morning.
Luka Doncic just left the Lone Star State. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a great tie-in too. That name, Luca. So Lucifer is one of the names given to that planet that could have existed between Mars and Jupiter that got destroyed. The ultimate destruction of the sacred feminine. That was a feminine planet. So right now, there's an imbalance just everywhere. There's a male imbalance, and I know these are metaphors, but you need energies, masculine, feminine energies, like in like a positive negative pole. You need that balance in order to get energy, but you have an energy imbalance when you keep destroying that sacred feminine uh, force. And that's what this is about. And so yes, there is that theory.
What I was talking about, Einstein said they said he disproven a planet called Vulcan, and we know it was in Star Trek, Spock's homeworld. But esoterically, they say there's like this hidden spiritual planet, Vulcan, that's supposed to be in between Jupiter, and that's what I was talking about. I don't know, like if that's you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, but I don't. In mythology, was Vulcan destroyed?
I think so. I think
Because
so. And then it was maybe that's what became the asteroid belt. That's kind of what I was getting at, but I don't know if that's
yeah,
a
okay, that's the thing. There are different theories on this. Was there a planet there? And there's never any one like agreed upon, especially things like this, which are apocryphal.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
not canonized, and a lot of times they're hiding the truth is hidden. And usually, secret societies and other orders, they do have someone has the truth somewhere. They're not letting you know, and yeah, and that's what we're trying to figure out. And you always have to consider every theory because you don't know for sure. And certain ones, like you connect dots and you kind of lean towards the other. The one I lean towards is that it was a feminine planet because I see such an abundance of an imbalance. So, like now in the Western tradition, there are only two female planets. That's Earth and Venus. Those are the only two females. All the others are male. This major male imbalance, with the exception of Mercury, and Mercury is considered androgynous. The planet, not the god. The Mercury god is
Right.
masculine, but the planet Mercury is androgynous. It's male and female. Then there are two females, Earth and Venus, who are considered twins. Earth and Venus are the two planets closest to size. So they're twin sisters. Think of George Bush Jr. and his twin sisters, twin sister children, Barbara and Jenna. And why were their names named Barbara and Jenna? Why did they pick names B and J? That's because of the pillars of Boaz and Jachin,
Yeah, yeah.
the twin pillars. That's what Barbara and Jenna Bush represent, and that's the twin. The twin planets, the twin females, Earth and Venus.
Yep.
And so there's an imbalance. There's an imbalance. There's a destruction of the female energy, which is um, empathy and humanity for the most, and wisdom for the most part. That's not to say women are more, superior to males when it comes to empathy. Males can express this. You give an example of Mr. Rogers, for example. He's a male symbol of that principle. Um, he's just a symbol of just empathy and love. And actually, that's what the state of Pennsylvania has actually made because Mr. Rogers, the actor who played Mr. Rogers, her name was Rogers, I think, right? So he was from Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh. And the state of Pennsylvania makes the 143rd day of the year, every year in Pennsylvania, the day of kindness. So Pennsylvania kind of has that theme. It has a city of brotherly love. The reason 143rd day of the year is the day of kindness is to honor Mr. Rogers, is because his phrase was, I love you. I has one letter, love has four, and you has three. So 143 is also a code for I love you. And that's why they make in Pennsylvania today, the 143rd day of the year, which changes in the leap year, is the Pennsylvania State Day of Kindness in honor of Mr. Rogers, a native. So that's how I gave that as an example of how a male can also, these are metaphors. It's not to say that, so the male principle is action. So you need to feel the empathetic love emotion and then act in accordance with that. So without that, your actions will be psychopathy
Yeah.
because your actions are not powered by the the sacred feminine force of love and empathy. So there needs to be a balance because without the male action principle, well, nothing happens. Okay, you have empathy. So what if somebody needs help? Or somebody needs to be, and you may feel sorry for them, but you're feeling sorry for them alone won't help them. You need the male principle of action.
Action, right? It's the
Right.
key of balance, balancing the sacred
Exactly.
feminine and the masculine.
Exactly.
Not letting one overtake the other.
Exactly. And again, these are principles. Females have the action principles as well. There's some plenty examples of females showing more courage than males. Courage is kind of a male. These are metaphors. So what they're creating here is the imbalance, and they're really focusing more. They do sacrifice both male and female. They do destruction of the sacred masculine. That could be the story of the destruction of Jesus Christ. But even Jesus Christ got his power when he was baptized by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Christianity has done what all Abrahamic religions have done. This they've removed the sacred feminine, and it still results on a occulted level. So the power of the Holy Spirit, it's been masculinized. You'll actually hear Christians refer to the Holy Spirit as He. That's destruction of the sacred feminine. That's exactly at the heart of what's going on here. And Judaism did the same when they removed Asherah, and she was referred to as Queen of Heaven. And again, what's heaven? Heaven is the heavens, which is what? The starry sky, which is going back to the symbol of Our Lady of Guadalupe. That's the starry sky. That's the heavens. And so, yeah, she's Queen of Heaven. That's Asherah
ISIS.
and ISIS as well. So I haven't done it here, but ISIS is also part of my Decode New Orleans. I want to say that here. There's not enough time, but ISIS is part of this. It relates to New Orleans. In the New Year, there was a truck attack in New Orleans, if you remember, on New Year's Day in 2025, where a white Ford F-150 drove into a crowd of New Year's revelers on Bourbon Street, and that was so New Orleans is a big part of this. And they say that he had an ISIS flag on the back of his pickup truck, which that's just over the top. That's straight off Central Casting. Who does that? Who flies an ISIS flag and then drives into a crowd of people just to promote, like, oh, by the way, I believe in ISIS? And
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Well, also that like event that happened with the flag, but before it, we had the Olympics go on, and ISIS put out a lone wolf flyer out there. So I'm sure there's something there with Paris because it's Parisis. Paris is
yeah,
connected to ISIS as well. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting to look
So yeah,
out.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned lone wolf. Yeah, because yeah, lone wolf ties right into there's that wolf symbolism again. And again, that's a she wolf, which is a symbol of Rome. So yeah, that's yeah. Thanks for adding that. So New Orleans is part of this. I won't go into the New Orleans stuff as much, but it is a big part because New Orleans had that big flood, Katrina. So yeah, so she's known as Queen of Heaven. She's known as she who treads on the sea, Asherah. And again, shout out to Casey, who's one of my longtime supporters and patrons. So the book of Jeremiah in the Bible, it gives you an inkling of the status that Asherah used to have in, I don't know if Judaism was the term, but because they had 12 tribes. You have 12 tribes of Israel, but they all have, I guess, more or less,
I think it's only two are Jewish, and then the rest aren't.
yeah. So you have, okay, so you
Something like
have,
that. I could
yeah,
be
so
wrong.
yeah, again, so yeah, so Judaism comes from Judah. Well, Judah and Benjamin, they're the ones who were held captive in Babylon, but not all of them were held captive in Babylon. Some of them went to Egypt for safe haven, and they retained some of their old original practices of Asherah veneration. King Solomon himself, in his temple, had a section which was dedicated to the veneration of Asherah, and Jewish temples had the Asherah pole or Asherah tree, which was an olive tree or an almond tree. But so anyway, so the Jeremiah 44:25 says, "Thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, saying, Ye and your wives have both spoken with your mouths and have fulfilled with your hand, saying, quote, We will surely perform our vows as we have vowed to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven. This used to be a practice in the churches, in the temples, to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offering unto her. So this is so this is an example of what the old practice used to be. And so again, so Ashura, 70 is a code here because Benjamin and Judah, the tribes, they were held captive in Babylon for 70 years. That is an interesting number regarding Ashura. Now, I'm not quoting the Encyclopedia Britannica here. She was the mother of 70 gods. And isn't it ironic that when they came back from 70 years in captivity, where they used to venerate Ashura, who was the mother of 70 gods, 70 years later, they come back and they remove Ashura. They removed Ashura from the temple and from worship when they returned from Babylon. And it was 70 years, 70 gods. So and I give the example of how Benjamin, the symbol for Benjamin was a wolf. And again, Guadalupe, Lupe is wolf. That's what this is about. Why is the attack on girls in the girls' camp? It is the removal of Asherah from worship in Judaism and Abrahamic religions in general. It's destruction of the sacred feminine. And that's why the wolf is so central to this. The tribe of Benjamin removed Asherah. And
Shout out to my I got 13% Sephardic Jew in me. So shout out to I found that out on 23andMe. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to that 13% out there.
yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised everybody's DNA, what they have part of. But
I'm mostly Sicilian, but I never even knew I had that in me, Rambo, until I did the 23andMe. Then I got some Irish, some other stuff I didn't know, Scottish. I'm like, damn.
Tommy, you submitted your DNA. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
well, listen, guys. Listen. It was way before I knew anything that I know now. This is when 23andMe first came out, so they're always updating it, right? Still to this day. And I told my mother when she had me do it that I was scared to do it. I wasn't even into conspiracies then. But she was like, "Well, you've been to the feds. Went to the penitentiary before, so she's like, they already got your DNA." So I'm like, okay, whatever. She swabbed me up, and yeah, now I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have did that because they can use that to make certain things to target you with your DNA. But if they want your DNA, Ball, they can get your DNA, buddy.
Well, I mean, yeah, no. To your point, they not already have it in some way, shape, or form. I was just, I thought
But I
that
know
was a
it's
funny
so
joke.
stupid. Yeah, I shouldn't have did it, but I did. So
yeah, I'm also curious. I'm very curious about my DNA. I have a general idea without a DNA analysis, but yeah, I wouldn't submit it there. But I do have a general idea. Without getting into it, my mother's maiden name is German Jewish. I'll leave it at that. I won't get more into that. But continuing, yeah,
hi.
my mother's maiden name is Schomburg. I'll leave it at that. Make of that what you will. But in
You and Donut got the Jewish heritage in us.
it's a tiny little bit. I also have primarily Nubian. So even without a swab, I know I'm primarily Nubian on my father's side. But my father comes from the source of the River Nile, Lake Victoria. That's where the River Nile starts from. There's history there. Yeah, so we're all, at the end of the day, in spirit, we're really spirits trapped in physical forms. And it's best not to get wrapped up in the physical form part and
Right.
focus more on the spiritual part because that spirit part is eternal, never will die. It doesn't have a beginning or an ending. The physical part will end, just to keep that perspective.
Yeah, they use it to try to divide us too, like the races, the religions, and it's a big divide and conquer thing.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah, that's the ego. The
yep,
physical realm is the realm of the ego. If you get too wrapped up, yes, is this realm? Yes, it's precious. Life is precious. But yeah, keep things in perspective. You're an eternal spirit, and I mean, I personally believe in reincarnation, and many allegories
I do too.
point to reincarnation. Even all the allegories, like the Masonic allegories of Hiram Abiff and Solomon's Temple. Solomon's Temple is about completing your life's work, which takes place over multiple lifetimes. It's about reincarnation. That's what that legend is about, and you don't reincarnate always in the same physical form. Like you're not, someone's a female, you can't always be a female or always European or always black or always Asian. you should be able at a higher spiritual level to see yourself in every single human being.
Let me tell
And
you something, Rambo. To gematria. So when I was doing these decodes, I started looking at people's life path numbers, and if you look at the life path number, right, a life path one, they say a lot of the ancient stories say we reincarnate in these cycles of 12. Okay, six as a female, six as a male. So that's one cycle. That would be a total of 24 reincarnations. So life path one, you're 24 reincarnations. A life path two would be, or 12, I'm sorry. A life path 2 would be 24, a life path 3, 36, all the way up to what Donut is, a life path 9, with the finish of 108 reincarnations, which is a very sacred number. And guess what reincarnate equals in English Ordinal? 108.
oh yeah,
So
yeah,
I think there's something to that. I found that online. I was like, wow, maybe there's something to this. So, you know me, I looked into the math of it all, and I'm like, holy shit, there is a connection here. Reincarnate equals 108, and that's a very sacred number, the number
absolutely.
108.
Yeah, yeah. 108 is very sacred. Yeah, it ties into the sun and the moon, and they're all about cycles. All the cycle symbolism at the end of the day comes back to the reincarnation cycle and uh, the discovery of yourself, which is what the purpose is. Some people say, well, if we choose to incarnate, uh, someone think, well, I've chosen. I would not have chosen to come here if I knew it. But you don't. Your memory's erased, and you forget the perspective you had before you came here. It's hard to believe for many people as to why you would choose to come to a place like this. And you can think of the situations people are in. Think of people in Texas and around the world, Gaza, and many other places where people just have, even people live in great, people born in elite families have hellish, these elite rich families, and their lives are hell too. They're subject to satanic ritual abuse, all sorts of things. All sorts of people have hellish existences, and it is a big question. Why would you, if you have the choice, why would you choose to incarnate into a place like this? And that's a question that who knows will ever be fully answered. But and we, from this limited 3D perspective, we'll never know what's on the other side for sure. But I'm pretty confident that there's reincarnation and our memories are erased. And the object is to know the self, know that self. That's the key axiom to all spirituality. Know the self. Who is the self? The self is that eternal spiritual part that you have to somehow, despite very few clues in the 3D realm, discover. That's the eternal part. That's the true you. It's not what you see in the mirror. Who's a male? Who could be black, white, Asian, Hispanic? All these things you identify with. That's not the real you. That's the deception of 3D. And until you get in touch, realize that you're going to keep reincarnating, and that's the cycle. So
I
at the
agree. I agree with you, and you know, I respect everybody's belief in your religion, but just know one thing: the Council of Nicaea, look into it, where they rewrote the whole Bible. So for all you quoting that, they took a lot out of that that's not in there. Reincarnation was in a lot of the old ancient religions. All these religions are derived from the stories of Anu and Enki and Enlil. You know what I'm saying? It comes from
Well,
them stories.
Jesus alone, he died and reincarnated.
Right, there you go. So, and I love Jesus. To me, Jesus represents like that Neo archetype. I look at him different than other people do, but he's like one of my heroes. And I love all different religions, Christians, Muslims. I'm not telling you guys what to believe. I'm just giving you my perspective on what I believe, and I think Rambo's doing the same thing. But if you don't believe in reincarnation, that's okay.
It's actually in the Bible. In several where there's several places where reincarnation is in the Bible. There are actually multiple. In fact, John the Baptist, they even said that John the Baptist was Elijah. So those supposed to be two different people. Elijah lived before. John the Baptist is a separate person. No, John the Baptist was Elijah. They even say that. And even so, reincarnation was accepted. And you know that because Jesus actually he's quoted as asking his disciples, who do people say that I am? So, and then they gave all these different theories. People say you're so and so. All these prophets that existed before, people were speculating that that's who Jesus was. And he even asked his disciples, so what are people saying? Like, who are you saying that I am? Then he even turned it on to his disciples and says, who do you say that I am? And it's all about reincarnation. He is the
Yeah,
reincarnation of, and it goes further back. You can look into the work of Edgar Casey. Edgar Casey is the America's American's prophet. They call him the sleeping prophet, Edgar Casey. If you're familiar with him, he has, and he was a savant. Like he knew things that it was inexplicable. It's like this knowledge was just downloaded into him instantaneously. Like he discovered vitamin E before vitamin E was discovered. He only knew that in retrospect. Once they discovered vitamin E in the lab, then they looked back and wait a minute, that's what Edward Casey was talking about. So he knew about vitamin E. So and he actually had like multiple death experience, like I mean, in excess of 5, 6 death experiences where he died and came back. Edgar Casey. So he has his theory on the reincarnations of Jesus, he talks about all these ancient archetypes. He said that is actually Jesus reincarnating. Like Zoroaster was one of the examples he gave of Zoroastrianism. And isn't it,
Yeah.
isn't it interesting that the three wise men who knew of the birth of Jesus, they were called magi. Magi are Zoroastrian high priests. Why
Yep.
would Zoroastrian high priests from Persia be given the knowledge of the incarnation of the baby Jesus? Why would it be given to Zoroastrians and not to Israelite high priests? Isn't he supposed to be king of the Jews? Why is that the three wise men were from the east? They were magi. Those are Zoroastrian high priests. It's
Yep.
because, and going along with Edgar Casey, he gave the whole lineage. He was a reincarnation of Zoroaster. That's the messenger archetype, which is Mercury. But yeah, so I'll just get back into this real quick. I'll finish the sacred feminine part. Is just real quick. This is how they removed the sacred feminine Ashra, who was venerated in original Judaism at the same level as Yahweh. And okay, so in ancient Israelite religion, an Asherah pole, which was this was in every temple, a sacred and in Solomon's temple, Solomon venerated Asherah, a sacred object associated with the Canaanite goddess Asherah, often depicted as a pole or stylized tree, and sometimes even a grove of trees. These poles were often placed near altars or high places, and their presence signified a departure from the worship of the Israelite God Yahweh and a turn towards foreign deities, particularly Asherah. So she started being depicted as a rival to Yahweh. So they changed their perception. So now they're saying, wait, the Asherah pole, no, that's taking you away from the worship of Yahweh. You can't have that. And that was removed from the temple. Solomon had Asherah pole in his temple. But then this happened after Babylon. Then they said, no, no, no. Asherah is a rival, and this is idolatry. And she's a foreign deity. She's Canaanite. Get rid of her. That is the symbolism behind what is going on now. And so I'll give. So you can find a lot of information. I just came across some informational, uh, very informative blogs. One of them, it's just you can see in the title, Asherah, the lost goddess of the Hebrew people. So Asherah was removed from Judaism. Asherah was part of original Judaism, and Rome continued it because Rome is one who canonized the Roman Catholicism, which is you talk about the Council of Nicaea, which created the official institution of Christianity, originally in the form of the Catholic Church, and that's what the Bible essentially is. It's a group of texts edited by Rome. That's what the canonized
Yep.
Bible we have now. It's,
Yep.
it's edited by Rome, and the things they left out are things like this, and Judaism itself. So look at what Babylon and Rome. You know, there's the same force behind it because they have the same modus operandi, which is removal of the sacred feminine. The tribe of Benjamin and Judah come back from Babylon. Suddenly, Asherah should not be worshipped anymore. And then Rome decides to adopt Christianity, edit the Bible, and remove the sacred feminine as well. Again, this is Rome and Babylon. And what do they both have in common? Rome has the wolf symbol, and the tribe of Benjamin has the wolf symbol. And so they have the same MO, the same symbol, it's the same force. And now you have uh, destruction of a female camp, the destruction of innocence, preteen girls. It's the same, exact same ritual, and it's the Guadalupe River. Well, what is Guadalupe? Lupe is wolf. That's what this is all about. And
And brother, you know how they try to replace Jesus with God, and they take that away. And I, like I said, I love Jesus. He's like one of my heroes. But he says in John 14:28, "My Father is greater than I." He mentions many times that he is not God. You know what I mean? So people that they strip that out of it too and try to replace. Oh, now Jesus is God and all this.
And if I can say, Tommy, I just chimed in the chat too. one of my favorite Bible verses because I take the Bible very seriously. I don't take it literally like most people do. And Matthew 18:3, Jesus says to the people, he said, unless you become like little children, kind of going right back to the top of this entire live stream, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And I think that's why so many people are so lost,
Yep.
because they can't humble themselves down to
Their ego.
accepting that they don't know everything there is to know about the world. Even though when you graduate and put on your Freemason cap, you think that you got it all figured out. And if you need to know something, go to AI and go to Google, and then you'll know everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
So
but the irony there is some authentic Freemasons do know the truth. So you're not supposed to stop thinking for yourself. The
Yeah.
secret societies do have some of that hidden knowledge. The allegories are all about reincarnation and completing the great work, which is the discovery of the self, which is not the body and it's not the ego. It's separating from the ego. And that's what a child represents. The thing about children is they're closer to source. You were just born. Your memory's been erased, but you're still closer to. You were just born. You're closer to that your spiritual self. As you grow, even as a child, as you grow older, then you become more and more attached to the ego and the 3D realm. And children are closer to source and closer to
Yeah,
that
I
real self. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think you lose it somewhere along the way. And Jesus also told us we would, he taught empathy, love, compassion, all these beautiful things. I mean, look who he was hanging out with: the prostitutes, the thieves. He wasn't hanging out with these elite people. And and there's a Bible verse that also says, "You will be able to do what I do, and much greater."
And
And
greater, yeah.
yeah, I think that was about we have the ability to heal. We have the ability to heal others, and they dumbed us down. In that Bible verse, he also says, because I go onto the Father, for you. So he mentions his Father many times. He told them, your God is not my God. So, I mean, they were also I think they were worshiping Yaldabaoth at that time, my personal opinion.
Yeah.
We all
Yaldabaoth is basically the god of the 3D matrix.
Yeah, we all have our own views, and that's okay to hear other people's perspective and views. And it shows that you have a higher IQ when you can listen to other people's perspective and not get upset when you get triggered from what someone else says on their beliefs. That just shows how indoctrinated you are. So that's just my thought on that. Donut, I love you, brother. This was an amazing podcast tonight. A
Thank
lot of great knowledge. It was a pleasure to be on here with Rambo. He's just a wealth of knowledge, and Balll and Kodie. If you're on my channel, guys, go follow them all. Check out their YouTube channels. Check out their work. I got to bounce out though, so I figured we were probably going to end this soon because I got to get me some sleep, brother.
thank you,
All
Tommy.
right. Yeah. Thanks for your contributions and for the kind words.
Yeah, but you've been a big part of my decoding, Rambo. So I appreciate you so much, bro.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thanks, Tommy, for everything. And it's really great meeting you and speaking with you for the first time. So look forward to more eventually.
All right, well, I thank all you guys and thanks for having me on, Slick Dissident. I love you, brother. You and Rambo need to link up. That would be the most epic podcast in the whole world. So I'm out, guys. I love y'all.
All right. Take care.
Much
Pete,
love, man.
good to see you.
Yeah. So I'm about to wrap this up here. So I'll just quote Jeremiah 44:18. But ever since we stopped burning incense to the Queen of Heaven and pouring out drink offerings to her, we have had nothing. We've had nothing and have been perishing by the sword and famine. So that's the result of the removal of the sacred feminine symbol. And I show the Babylonian Trinity, Tammuz, Nimrod, and Semiramis. Semiramis was the dove. This is long before Christianity existed. Christianity is a relatively new spiritual practice. The dove was always the symbol of the Trinity. It was the sacred feminine part of the Trinity. The dove always had been. That's where you get Columbia. And that's why, and they attributed the dove to the the Holy Spirit, because Christianity could not have a female, because I guess that's considered against monotheism. And I talk about the action, thought, emotion trinity, which is symbolized by the skull, crossbones, and heart. That's the full trinity. Skull and crossbones alone is only thought and action. So that's only 2/3. And what's 2/3? 2/3 is 2 divided by 3, which is 0.666. And that is why 666 can be a code for evil. It's because of this. It's 2/3 of a trinity. It's the removal of the heart from the skull, crossbones, femurs, heart, trinity. And the heart, and Kodie showed this, is at that's the symbol of Camp Mystic. This is what they're desecrating, or this is what they're destroying, is that heart. And that's why, as Kodie has shown in such depth, why you see 322 all over this, because of this skull, bones. Uh, that's 2/3 the destruction of this, the heart part of the Trinity.
Yeah, and Donut, I'm stoked that you saw that connection in last night's stream with me, Rambo, and Kodie, just pointing out, like, just look at the Skull and Bones logo, and I see 2 hearts in that logo, but mainly the eye, the bigger eye. Just look at it; looks like a heart. So,
Well, there's
crazy.
something up with the whole heart thing, and you saying like that the Twitter post is about broken hearts, and right there is the heart, and you got the heartland, you got all the
Deep
different.
in the heart of Texas.
Well,
You know that song, right?
not to leave out the fact that heart equals flood.
Yeah, heart is earth, right? So
So
there you go.
yeah,
So yeah, so even the term Holy Spirit, that's the sacred feminine, Holy Ghost. So spirit and ghost, uh, you can see how that relates to mystic. Because something that's mystical is not something that's visible in 3D, visible by your physical eyes. That's what mysticism is, hidden. So spirit, ghost, it's not visible. The mystic is there. So yeah, so the next part of my decode has to do with the New Orleans connection, Julius Caesar, Lupercalia, Mark Antony. We're talking about San Antonio, which means Anthony. Mark Antony offered Julius Caesar the crown at Lupercalia, which is February 15th. So that's the Antony uh, connection to this whole saga. And William Shakespeare, who could have been Francis Bacon, more than likely it's Francis Bacon who wrote William Shakespeare, but he started his the play Julius Caesar with Mark Antony offering Julius Caesar the crown to Rome, and Julius Caesar rejecting the crown, and that was on Lupercalia, which is, again, that has to do with the wolf, Lupercalia, the wolf, Guadalupe River, uh, and we had Caesar Superdome in New Orleans Superdome, now called the Caesar Superdome, where we just had a Super Bowl, and we know what happened there, the Great Flood, and there are other New Orleans connections. So yeah, I'll leave it there for now, and I'll continue this with future decodes.
No, nice, nice. Yeah, I was looking at the moon of the symbol and seeing if the moon looked like a crescent, like it did on that image, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
it was a waxing gibbous, so not really. But yeah, no, this has been great. I appreciate all y'all coming up on here. There's just so much going on. Do we leave anything out?
There's always a lot being left out, right? That's what's so fun about this journey of truth, is that there's always more, right? I love Rambo's quote. Rambo, did you invent that quote yourself about,
No,
a picture's worth 1,000 words? But
yeah,
where did that
I
come
didn't.
from?
I had not invented. I've never looked it up to see if it's attributed to any one person, but I just read it somewhere and I forgot where I read it, and it stuck with me, and I just
Yeah,
it's
it's
even
amazing. It
yeah,
just,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Well,
it just
everybody,
speaks to that there's always more. So sorry, go ahead.
there's always lots more. The more I know, the more I don't know. Well, everybody go subscribe to everybody's channel. Also, I'll be doing a members only video either tonight or tomorrow, going over some of the symbols that I've been looking at during a lot of the protests that are going on, and going to be connecting it to the technocratic agenda with Elon Musk and its new party. Yeah, so I got the members stuff up now on YouTube, but also on Patreon. Go to Rambo's Patreon, AJ's and Decoding with Kodie's YouTube. But yeah, thank you. Usually I don't go this long for a video, so it's good.
Well,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
we appreciate you for that, for having us on and taking the time to let us share. And it's such a great opportunity to finally be on and speak with you. For me, this is my first time, so it was a blast for me. And I'm, as you guys know, every week we do a Tuesday show, me, Rambo, and AJ. So make sure you guys come check us out there. But yeah,
Yeah.
much love to everyone.
Maybe Doenut, you can come be our guest on our show one of these weeks.
Please, yeah. I'll take over when I go on the shows. I'm always like blah 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 blah, but I wanted y'all to get that out there. So thank you everybody for tuning in. It's Doenut. Much love and God bless you.
Much love,
All right.
everybody.
Love everyone.
Goodbye.